God, that fucking tune is just so loud. I've got a new volume extension, and it's not that good. But the old volume extension just for some reason stopped working. It just stopped itself from existing like a couple of weeks ago. So, you know, trying to get used to this new one, and just really understanding that there's a lot of very loud tunes that we have in the intro section. So yeah, sorry about that if that was a bit loud. Welcome in, everybody. How are you all doing? Welcome in. It's Big Monday. I know that I'm not looking like Gandalf today. I'm sorry. I know I said that stream would be today, but my sleeping schedule is fucked because of how sick I was last week. So this is basically the morning for me. This is like 11 a.m. For me, if you want to, you know, match that up to when most people wake up. But welcome everybody. It's great to see so many people here as per usual. At the start, we've got Ludo, welcome in. Cynthia, hello. How to Pay, hello again. Lorcan, welcome in. Hello, hello. I'm glad that you're enjoying the Plock theme, the boss theme for Plock. Sorka, hello. How are you? We got Pat Potato. We got Guitar Guy Nick, hello. Welcome in. I had not heard about the Labour majority wanting PR voting. But if you do want to post links in the chat, you do have to ask permission, otherwise you will get purged. So just bear that in mind in future. Thicky Comrade, hello, how are you doing? Squid, what's going on? Gang, please go and show some love to Skadada. Phenomenal streamer, good friend. Hope you're doing well, my friends. We've also got Sterling's Kitchen as well. There's a shout out there for Sterling. Please go follow Sterling. He's a phenomenal guy too. Who else do we got? We got Emmy, we got Julia, we got Lithit Lyra, hello. Permission, please. I've got the link there. I don't know if I'm going to be covering that. The way that I do my streams, Nick, is I've got a lot of stuff that I'm wanting to cover, and then what I'll do is I'll go through that. Do you know what I mean? As I go through it, and if there's things that you want to put towards the stream in terms of like what I'm talking about, you can either do that in the Discord, or you can post relevant things when I'm talking about a relevant topic at the time of the stream. So just, yeah, no worries, that's fine. You're new here, you don't know how it works, it's okay. Where was I? Julia, Lithic, Lyra, hello. Rob, how are you doing? You got an inattentive ADHD diagnosis last week. Fucking congratulations. I'm so happy for you, Rob. I'm glad that that's been sorted, and I hope that there's going to be some support for you for that, because it's one thing getting a diagnosis, but it's another thing getting help for that diagnosis, so I hope that goes well. Chloe, I hope you're doing well. Lovely. Welcome in. Welcome to the stream. Vod Sirican, hello. How's it going? Yo ho ho, yar har, trying out the pirate life. Scratch that, I don't have a good hat. Don't need a good hat. Lots of pirates didn't have hats. Some of them had bandanas, so that's fine. Cyberquaker, hello, welcome in. Hope you're all doing good. Just had your first real day of real university. Yeah, I hope it went well, Sorka. Welcome in, everybody. So, stream today, what have we got for you? I'll tell you what we've got. We've got a new dono goal. Since you all blew me away last week with donating fucking 310 quid on my first stream back that was only 2 fucking hours, I thought, well, fuck it, I might as well up it to the standard goal that it normally is. Well, actually, it's a little bit more than that, but I thought, like, okay, if we could get to 700 quid, that would actually be really good, because that would mean that I wouldn't have to use any of my savings for next month's expenses, and therefore I'll be able to actually have that for a rainy day still. So if we can get to 700 quid in this final week of September, that would be awesome. If we can't, don't worry, you know what I mean. I've not been streaming for a long time, but if you do want to support me, please subscribe off Twitch. The command in the chat is !sub off Twitch. Any amount is appreciated. I would only ever really ask for the same amount that you would spend on Twitch, but of course you wouldn't be spending that money on a terrible platform. I don't really need to tell you all why it's a terrible platform this week, do I? Because there's loads of reasons. But there you go. Just trying to finish Judgment for the Yakuza series since they released it on PC now. Ooh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, Judgment is a really good game. I've seen... B-Rat!
Well, this is an awkward moment to resub.
That is an awkward moment to resub, but again, you know, it's fine if you want to still subscribe via Twitch. I'm not going to say no to that. I'm not going to turn around and be like, oi, that's terrible. You're now banned and cancelled. And I'm never going to speak to you again. You're not a proper leftist. Because that's not how things work. And that's not how things change. So I'm not going to be doing that. But thank you for the 7 months, B-Rat. Appreciate that. What I was gonna say, Judgment. Yeah, I've seen Kim Araki play Judgment. Very, very good. And I love the Yakuza series as well. Very cool. Very awesome. Lorcan says, bought Disco Elysium when it was on sale last weekend. Finished it in like 5 days. Really enjoyed it. Can't wait to replay it and make radically different choices. Yeah, it's a really interesting game. Like, if you go down the route of actually like, you know, doing like the fascist options and stuff, I believe it actually really sort of like says to you, are you sure? Even like, you know, I'm pretty sure there's like some tongue-in-cheek messages that the game gives you if you decide to like side with the white supremacist and stuff like that, because I know there's a character like that in the game. I should play it myself, really. I've been saying that I'm going to play it for a long time. So yeah, really should fucking play that game. But, you know, how many games? Rob! Oh my god! Thank you so much for the £5. Thank you so much. Thank you. Really appreciate that. Really appreciate you for subbing off Twitch, supporting the stream. Thank you very much. I bought Disco Elysium. Oh yeah, I just read that. I played that, but I died in the first 20 minutes because I kicked the trash can twice. What is that? Disco Elysium? Yeah. Or is it Yakuza? I don't know. Yeah, Kim literally calls the player an idiot. Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah. It also does some fun shit if you're a really obnoxious type of armchair communist. Oh yeah, I fucking love that. Yeah, I love that. That's good. Few racists in the game. Yeah, I heard that. Yeah. You die from... Oh, yeah, you could get, like, HP damage. I don't really know how the game works. I've not really played it. I've not really seen too many playthroughs of it because I've wanted to play the game myself. So, you know, at some point. Patron-only streams are where I, like, play video games on stream. So if you were interested in watching me play video games, I would advise you to become a patron. There's lots of other cool reasons to become a patron as well. There's a link to my Patreon in the chat there, so get involved. For example, we had a patron-only stream last night that was very fucking cool, and everybody who was there thought it was really good and very cool and very nice. So that was fun. I did internalize a thought that gave me XP every time I picked the most left-wing dialogue option. That's what it is, yeah. You get, yeah. If you get XP for every left-wing dialogue option, that's, you know, goes to show, right? Anyway, what have I got on for the streams tonight? Other than the dono goal, and other than trying to get more money from you, because I need it to live. We're going to be watching the news. It's Big Amy, big news. We are going to check out what Democracy Now! Has got for us. All sorts of stuff going on around the world. Oh my god! Vordrella, thank you so much for the £18.33. That's on top of the donations that you made last week. Jeez, thank you so much for the support. I really appreciate that, Vord. Taking us to 333.33. Three's wild. Threes are plenty. Thank you so much for getting us to 333.33. Really appreciate that. Thanks for subbing off Twitch. Again, really appreciate that. I couldn't make it. Great to hear you all had a good time. It was a good time. It was a very good time. Yeah. Wasn't able to find the option to give me the inexplicable feminist agenda one. Oh, okay. Right. Fair enough. Just got a text from me. Summer job apparently got underpaid, and that's going to get backdated on Wednesday. Random bread pog. Let's fucking go. Might be able to do a cheeky dono on Wednesday or Thursday. Don't worry if you can't. Appreciate the support still. Listen, survival, your own survival is extremely important at the minute. I'm well aware of that, and I'm sure many of you are as well. Please do not put yourself out of pocket in order to support me. I would hate that. Is your name DJ because of abbreviations or music? Okay, so yeah. What's very funny about that question, Guitar Guy Nick, is that's something that someone who doesn't like me very much at the moment has actually said about me, which is hilarious. Someone made a video about me recently that I'm not going to give too much attention to because there's no point in doing that. But what's very funny is that we actually make a joke in the stream that my name is Donald Muel, or Dr. Donald Muel, and that's a joke that we have quite often in the stream. And if you watch any of my VODs, you would know that. And but the actual fact is that I used to be a DJ. I used to be a professional DJ. I used to run my own drum and bass nights. And if you also Google my name, you can find DJ sets that I've done live. I actually do DJ sets for charity streams on Twitch. And what's very funny is that some of these people that don't like me very much at the moment and are saying things like I look like someone that would abuse you at a Ren fair, is that they actually say that I'm not a real DJ as well. So not only have they said things about me that are ad hominem attacks, but they're also saying things that just simply aren't true. I am a real DJ, and if you Google my name on YouTube, you'll find out that that's true. So that's the end of that. I just put in my 2 weeks notice. I got a new job that's a 10-minute walk from my apartment. Hell yeah. Eliminated the commute and now I have full benefits. Good to fucking hear it, Thicky Comrade. That fucking rocks. Excellent. You recently quit your job, Cynthia. Shit, I didn't know that. But I hope that actually gives you some fulfillment. I hope that you quit your job because it was actually shit, and, you know, I hope that you're feeling a lot better about it. Genuinely. I genuinely do. And obviously, like, legitimately, you're in a situation now where there's absolutely no need for you to support me. You know, I would much rather you look after yourself. Don Juan Muel. That's me. Don Juan Muel, yeah. Hey, DJ, what's going on? Here's me thinking it was due to being a DJ and not your legal name of Donald Jonald. That's right. It's my legal name. Donald Jonald Muel. That's my actual real name. Blasphemy, I've seen your DJ skills. That's right. That's right. Hi, Trans Jane Dare. How are you doing? Welcome in. Long time no see. You did that in the cadence of Stuart Lee. Respect. Listen, I've been watching a lot of Stuart Lee recently. Because, you know, he did that. He's done a new stand-up that's really good, actually. He's the only good stand-up comedian apart from James Acaster. It's not perfect. There's a moment in his stand-up where he says the D word, and I don't know why he says that. He says it in the context of pretending to be a Netflix American comedian, and in that context, I understand it. I still don't think it's okay that he says it, but he's an older guy, and I think that obviously that's a learning point for him. I think that if you approach Stuart Lee and said, actually, I don't think that you should be saying the D slur, do you know what I mean? I think he would probably be receptive to that rather than like Dave Chappelle, who would probably call you another slur and then punch you in the face. Probably. I don't know. I imagine that's probably what Dave Chappelle would do because he just simply hates transgender people. But anyway, yeah, you were just in the process of typing. What about James Acaster? Yeah. I love James. I actually watched some James Acaster last night. You heard that James Acaster was incredibly right-wing? I do not think so. I do not think so. Are you thinking of someone else there, possibly? He's the guy that does the bit about how, you know, right-wing comedians are bad. He literally does a bit about how right-wing comedians are bad. Is he worse? I don't know. Is he worse? I don't know. So yeah, but I've been watching Snowflake on repeat because the bit where is it Joe Lycett that's incredibly right-wing? Right, yeah, okay. Yeah, I actually feel like Joe Lycett could be right-wing. Yeah. because he says so in the on that show. Now I understand the joke. Yeah. Lorcan actually got confused. It is actually Joe Lycett that makes that joke about him definitely being incredibly right-wing. Yeah. No, yeah, Lorcan just got it a bit mixed up there. Yeah. That's right. It's Joe Lycett that is incredibly right-wing. That's sarcasm, by the way. Just for people who can't read sarcasm quite well, it's sarcasm. Joe Lycett is not right-wing. It's a sarcastic joke that he makes. He went on Laura Koenigsberg's show. It was very fucking funny. Yeah. I saw Nish Kumar live, and he did a bit making fun of Ricky Gervais and Jimmy Carr. Yeah, I think Nish Kumar is very good as well. Not actually seen much Nish Kumar. I've seen a bit of Nish Kumar, but not like a full show. Yeah, James Akis, there is the what's the matter? Too challenging for you? Yeah, that guy, yeah. Also, welcome in Huskadoo, and welcome in some other people who've just come in since we were talking about that. Apple Chips, hello, how you doing? Who else have we seen come in? We've got Master of the Art, hello, how you doing? Welcome in. You found some good trans comedians yesterday thanks to a Twitter thread. Yeah, there's, what's her name? Mia... Is her name Mia Moore? I can't... Is it Mia Moore? She's like a trans comedian. There's someone else as well. Jen Ives, that's right, yeah. I've heard of Jen Ives. No, not Mia Mulder. She's a YouTuber. No. Why would I be talking... Why, when we're talking about stand-up comedy... Does Mia Mulder do stand-up? Do I not know that? She does do stand-up. Does she? Oh, no, she doesn't. Okay, right. No, that's fine. It's fine that you confuse the two. That's fine. It's Mia Moore. Yeah, Mia Moore. You saw Nish live at the Fringe. Oh, that's pretty cool. Hi, Lyra. What's going on? We got Lyra and friends here as well. We got Ethereal Emily. Welcome in. How you all doing? Quick shout out there for Lyra and friends. Phenomenal streamer. Go check them out. As Nish described Ricky and Jimmy, the cackling hyena, and the Victorian ventriloquist dummy. Yeah. Yeah. So if you've not seen Stuart Lee Snowflake, I highly recommend it. It's really, really good. Obviously, content warning, there is a point there where he says the D word. Obviously, it's not good. It's problematic to do that. Already discussed that. And he has used slurs at other points in his comedy in the past. That's not good as well. But honestly, he's literally nothing compared to any other fucking comedian. Like, in terms of, like, he's literally a leftist. Do you know what I mean? He literally talks about leftist stuff. And it's fucking brilliant, his stand-up. It's really, really good. You know, people have called him out on things that he's done in the past, and he's addressed it, and he's like, he's gone, yeah, actually, fair enough. And there's a bit in Snowflake where he actually talks about use of the word cunt, and how, like, it's actually up for women themselves to decide if that is a word that can now be used outside of context, in context and stuff like that, when it's not relating to gender and stuff like that. He does a whole bit about that. But yeah, it's really, really good. I've literally watched it on repeat for the last few weeks, and a lot of his other stand-up as well. And I've listened to Tornado, because he didn't film Tornado, but he did film Snowflake, and the bit at the end where he's like he's talking about Ricky. There's a bit, chat, where he's talking about Ricky Gervais, and he says that Ricky Gervais says in his new stand-up special on Netflix, he says that he says the unsayable, but he doesn't, does he? He says the sayable by definition. Everybody does, because that's true. You can't say the unsayable. You actually physically can't. That's impossible. It's an oxymoron. Or what? Is that an oxymoron? Is that what an oxymoron is? So he does this whole bit, and then, like, for about 5 minutes, he, like, pretends to be Ricky Gervais trying to say the unsayable. I'm doing Stuart Lee impressions all the time, Lorcan, because I've listened to him so much. It's like, you know when you You know when you like if you had like a friend that's gone to like a different country and they come back with a bit of an accent, it's like that. I'm listening to so much Stuart Lee that I simply can't not do a Stuart Lee impression anymore. You know? No, Stuart Lee is straight. He's a cis-het white man. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's not queer. It's osmosis. Yeah, it's literally osmosis. Yeah. Like, yeah, it's like I say, it's not good for him to say the D word, even in the context that he says it. You know what I mean? I don't think it's fair to say that. But again, you know what I mean? I don't know why. I don't know why he said it. I just don't know. Anyway. I especially like Kai. Who's this? Sorry, yeah, if you want to post links, Cyberquaker, you got to ask. What is this? Kai Comedy. Kai, the interruption show. Let's have a look at this. Oh, this is 6 minutes. Okay, well, we might have time to watch that later, but I have got a big show planned tonight, so possibly might not be able to get through everything that even I've got to do. So, yeah, we'll see about that. What we got? Nat Puff's impression of Ricky Gervais. Yeah, it's so perfect. Yeah, Nat Puff. Yeah, is it Nat Puff? I don't know. I feel like her name is different. Catch me saying the unsayable with the help of his weird book full of eldritch creatures. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Nat is not really I don't think she calls herself a comedian, but it is the best Ricky Gervais joke. Yeah, it is very fucking funny. I went on television to talk about how I'm silenced. Yeah, he makes so many jokes about that. It's very fucking funny. My colleague really likes the word cunt. I wonder if that... No, it's not going to essentially. Because it's one of the few words we have for the whole kit and caboodle, rather than just certain bits of reproductive apparatus. Right, yeah. And also, like, you know, when you use the word cunt outside of the context of gender, and when you're not specifically calling a woman a cunt, because if you call a woman a cunt, I think that in context, I think that's a bit worse than just being like, what a cunt. You know what I mean? In general, like talking about a man or something like that. So yeah, it's one of them, isn't it? Yeah, the unsayable is like trying to say the real name of Cthulhu and not just saying bigoted shit. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I love that he had Graham Linehan in his In the Pedal Bin section of his end of the year blog last year, and Linehan has spent the entire year raging about it. Linehan actually did a full like video about how Stuart Lee needs to retire from comedy, because he stands up for trans people. In his, you know, he doesn't explicitly talk about trans issues in the show, and I think that's probably because he understands that he's cisgender and he doesn't want to speak for trans people and stuff like that. But he explicitly makes jokes about how people are blaming trans people for things that they've got nothing to do with. There's a bit where he's talking about what his grandma would say in terms of like political correctness gone mad, and how she confuses it with health and safety legislation. And there's this funny fucking bit. I would play it if I wouldn't, like, on the VOD channel, if I wouldn't get, like, taken down by BBC, because it's a BBC clip. But it's so fucking funny, and he's going on about this, like, hypothetical bit where his gran has said, what if I don't want to? Where am I even supposed to go to the toilet now? Well, you'll have to go to the unisex toilet, Mrs. Dowden. What if I've not been to university? And what if I don't want to have sex in the toilet? Where am I supposed to go to the toilet? In a ditch while a paedophile films it and uploads it to TikTok. And it's just fucking brilliant. It's just amazing. It's so good. It's so fucking good. I love Stuart Lee's comparisons to being Oppenheimer when Rob Lydon said that Ricky Gervais thought Stuart was an influence. Yeah, the Rob Brydon interview with him. I've watched that as well recently. Stuart Lee actually did a really, really, really good Radio 4 program. I spoke about this in the Discord, talking about unreliable narrators. And it's really fucking good. And I would highly recommend anybody listen to it, because it speaks a lot about, you know, we talk a lot about nowadays in leftist circles about how, you know, right-wing figures, they don't actually care about the truth. They just say whatever they want. And it's all about that, and it's a really good breakdown of stuff like that. And it starts with things like Bob Dylan, about how Bob Dylan makes up a lot of stuff about himself that isn't actually true, and he does that in order to, like, speak from a narrative perspective, to portray certain issues and stuff like that. But he just lies about himself, and he's not a reliable narrator. Because it's obviously not true, some of the stuff that he says about himself. Like, he says that he was a revolutionary, but then in the same card he also says that he was middle class. I mean, you can be a middle class revolutionary if you're going to be a class traitor, that's true. But then in terms of like it was something about how the two things don't marry up in what he was saying about being a revolutionary and being middle class. So it's very interesting. But yeah. Anyway, where was I? Where the fuck was I? There's so much stuff going on in chat. Give me a minute. Hello, Zarf Quag Swag. Welcome in. I love that name. I don't know if I've told you before, but I do love that name. It's great. The word has a more misogynistic undertone here in the States. Yes, absolutely. It really does. Yeah, it really does. Hey, Mr. Dank. How are you doing? Welcome in. Hello, Tajan. It's good to see you. Graham is just jealous because he never even got started in comedy. That's true. It's all about the money. What's this? What's this Inger thing? Oh, yeah. This is absolutely it. Yeah, this is absolutely what people are fucking talking about. Yeah. It's open season for us comedians now. We're being oppressed at every turn. Can't say anything anymore. Always censored. Always silenced. I'm like a second-class citizen. Freedom of speech is dead. How am I meant to make ends meet? It's madness, isn't it? It's like we're being gaslit in real time. Way back in the early 2000s, a friend loaned me Series 1 of The Office, and even back then I thought it was hideously unfunny. The only thing that made me laugh in the entire 3 hours was the stapler and the jelly, and a hell of a lot of it reminded me of the awful bullying in school as a kid. Yeah, I think Ricky Gervais's comedy, it always punches down, doesn't it? Like, you know, I remember I never was a fan of The Office. I was never a fan of Ricky Gervais's comedy. My stepbrother, who is actually a conservative, always used to get me comedy DVDs at Christmas. And he stopped doing that now because he knows I'm a anarcho-crusty communist liberal snowflake, right? He knows that I'm a snowflake and I can't handle comedy. So he doesn't do that anymore, right? But he got me Ricky Gervais one year when I wasn't as much of an anarcho-communist as I am now. And I remember watching it and thinking, I'm not really that into this. It's not that funny. I think it was the one where he was going on, like, as an atheist. I think it was that one. I'm not sure. Yeah, anarcho-crusty. And I just remember thinking it's not that funny. And the only funny thing that I ever remember from Ricky Gervais was the Ricky Gervais show with Carl Pilkington. Guitar guy Nick is talking about it right there. But the funny guy in that show is Carl Pilkington. And it's not because it's funny because he's stupid and he was raised by travelers, which is actually true. He comes from a traveler family. So, you know, Ricky Gervais is not only punching down on someone because he thinks he's intellectually inferior to him, he's also punching down at him. He doesn't necessarily explicitly punch down on him because he comes from a traveler community. But he does. That is a fact about Carl Pilkington. And he does punch down at him a lot. And he actually does. Carl Pilkington is funny because he's relatable. He's actually extremely relatable. Yeah, Ricky Gervais isn't in Spaced. Oh, no, he is. Ricky Gervais is a letting agent in Spaced at the start, isn't he? Yeah. No, I would actually argue that the explicit transphobic joke that includes a slur in the episode with David Walliams is the least funny thing in Spaced. Even less funny than Ricky Gervais, I would argue. Because that really soured Spaced for me when I realised what that whole bit was about. Yeah, that was really fucking shit. And I used to love Spaced. I used to really love it. And I think if I watched some of the other episodes that don't have that, like, because that's just one episode, I think I would enjoy it still, because the other stuff, I don't know if there's much punching down in the rest of Spaced, but there is just an explicitly transphobic slur and a transphobic joke in one episode that is just unforgivable. It's absolutely unforgivable. Yeah, it's not good. You know, because I don't think any of the performers or actors have actually apologized for it either. Do you know what I mean? It's one thing saying that and going, oh, I'm sorry, I was ignorant, I didn't know. Do you know what I mean? And I'm going to do some work to, you know, big up the trans community as a result of that. But they've not actually done that at all. So, you know. And of course, it's not up to me to forgive that person. It's up to the trans community as well. Anyway. What else do we got here? Yes, I've heard the massive turf hullabaloo about mermaids giving trans kids binders. Yeah, it's disgusting. Yeah, it's absolutely disgusting. I mean, what can we expect? What do we expect? What do we expect from turfs nowadays? And it's Joanne, isn't it, that's doing the main stuff. Joanne's doing the main stuff. Hey Andy, how you doing? Good to see you, mate. Please, everybody, go and show some love to I'm a Coconut. Lovely lad, absolutely lovely boy. Please go and show him some love. Fist of Fun stands up. I don't know that one. I've not seen that one. I wish the left would cancel me. I could do with the publicity. Yes. Ricky Gervais loves to use the C word, so one might think he is a cunt. Yeah, true. Like they're LARPing as a minority. They are. Yeah, the Carl Pilkington stuff. He is. Yeah, Ricky is a bully. He is an absolute bully. Made a good living off other people being funnier than him. I agree. Try not to use the word cringe, but Gervais's crucified photo is peak cringe. It is cringe. I think using cringe in the context of like right wingers being cringe, I think that's fine. As long as everybody here understands that cringe, as it's widely known as, in terms of making fun of people who do things from the heart or do things passionately. I don't think it's very fair to say those things are cringe. Do you know what I mean? I think we need to move away from stuff like that. You know, the whole like lol cow thing, you know? Comedians are always like, I can't say anything. And what they mean by anything is that as a cishet white man in his mid-50s, oppression for being told it's a bit much to use 38 slurs in one show. Right, yeah, can't say anything nowadays. Apart from you can. Actually, you could go on Netflix. This is a joke that Stuart Lee makes as well. I'm just repeating it for you. You can actually do that. You can say all the things that you can't say on Netflix. That's available in every country in the world, and get paid £6 million or dollars for it. And there you go. You can actually say all the things that you can't say. Yeah, wait. Oh, have they? The creators have at least acknowledged that that episode is not good. Oh, they addressed it during a 20th anniversary event. It wasn't a full-throated apology. It was a hell of a lot better than the usual bullshit. Well, I did not know that, Lorcan. I did not know that. Well, I guess that's good. That's a start, isn't it? Someone on Twitter brought up an interesting thing a couple of years ago. There was a similar outcry about sports bras for teenagers. Right. Which doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any fucking sense, does it? Because, like, if you're arguing that teenagers whose bodies are developing shouldn't wear bras, then what you're saying is that, you know, I don't understand. I just think that's a bit creepy in general, isn't it? Someone on Twitter brought up I just read that. Afterlife and shit just confirms that he was not the talent in any of his older shit. Yeah, why not let people wear what they want, as long as it's not a Nazi swastika? Do you know what I mean? Fist of Fun was Stuart Lee and Richard Herring's 90s sketch show. They carried a lot of the running gags into Good Morning with Richard and Judy. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Well, I'll have to check that out then. I'll genuinely check that out. Pretty sure the main bloke, Simon Pegg, has specifically spoken out for pro-trans causes too, but I can't 1000% remember. That sort of rings a bell. Tajan? I think it does. I think that, honestly. I do think that rings a bell. Hello, 30. How are you doing? And hello, Shafiq. Welcome in. I did miss you. I did miss you. And I think I speak for everyone in the chat when I say that they missed you too. I won't be taking any criticism on that comment. Everybody in the chat unilaterally missed you. Simon Pegg and Nick Frost once said stuff that was pro-trans at a convention, I think. I don't fully remember. Okay, well, I mean, again, it's up to the trans community to actually decide whether, you know, those people should be forgiven, I think, as a whole. You know what I mean? As a majority. So that's up to the trans community, to be honest. But yeah, I just, that joke, it just, whenever I think of Spaced, that joke just, like, sticks out to me. And it's like, it's so horrible. It's just a horrible thing. Do you know what I mean? It's just so blatant. Sweaty and Stinky had an excellent time at Queer Dance. Let's fucking go. Nice. Right, listen, chat. We've had a nice little just chatting segment. Been streaming already for like fucking 40 minutes. Been chatting for ages, haven't I? So, it's time now to do the news. Right? It's time for the news. So remember, chat, there's going to be mentions of war and violence in this bit. You know what? I'm going to really just quickly skim through and make sure that there's no, like, fucking blood in this bit, because sometimes Democracy Now! Just has blood, and you can get banned from Twitch for showcasing human blood. Or I think even animal blood, probably. So just having a quick skim through there, and I think this is fine. I should really do all this before the stream, but I'm just having a skim through here. There is a bit of someone, or like police getting killing someone or something. So, yeah, I'm going to turn on the subs for chat thing real quick, because we're going to switch to that.
Hello, me old chum.
In a bit. So we'll switch back, so the subtitles, so people will be able to, will actually be able to thingy. Is that alert working? Thanks for the follow. I've had 2 follows so far, but is that actually working? I don't understand. Did the gnome pop up? Did he pop up? Hello, Gomez 420. You're new here. I know you're new here. It pops up on Twitch and tells me when someone's new here. Welcome in. How are you doing? Everybody got gnomed. Okay, good. Thanks. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. All right. All right. Let's check out the news. We're going into the politics section. So you know what that means, don't you, chat? Whoa! Ragdajin, thank you so much for gifting a sub to Mr. Dank. Welcome in. Thank you so much for supporting the stream. I appreciate that. Thank you. Right. We're going into the politics section. So expect weirdos in the chat. Although I have actually changed a couple of chat settings. So hopefully we won't get as many weirdos. But then again, Twitch is the platform that it is. So potentially there could still be a lot of weirdos. There's no guarantee. Abandon all hope, ye who enter here. Strange boys, because it's always boys. It is always boys. Mostly boys. Majoritively boys. Hello, Peanut Butter Princess. And thank you so much for the follow. Again, appreciate that. It's your chat. Weirdos is default. Yeah, but run about bad weirdos. Weirdos that aren't, you know, that are not good and not welcome here. Yeah, there's based weirdos and there's bad weirdos. You know? Anyway. Yeah, not the good kind of weird. All right, let's have a little look. Everyone say hello, Amy.
Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman.
Oh my goodness.
At long last, the stars have aligned. The seated individuals of Venus have conducted their rituals. Zhuge Liang waved his fan to exert Lamet's energy on you. You are healed, you are returned. Glory to Lamet. The Lord of Derbyshire sends his regards. Muel the
Oh, I didn't finish it. Muel the Supreme. Oh, agree. Thank you so much for the 11 months. And thank you so much for getting that cameo. It was basically a cameo from Lord Joshua Allen, wasn't it? Thank you. Appreciate that. So, yeah, thank you very much, Gree. Welcome in. How are you doing, Gree? The fours, they're everywhere. Everything comes in fours. You know, you get a PhD in lamatology. That's a good idea, I think. I think that's a good... I think that is a good thing to do. What does KEKW mean? Well, if you do the BTTV command, or the Frankenface Z, the FFZ command in the chat, Gomez, you'll be able to get an extension where you can get a bunch of extra emotes that are free, that you don't need to subscribe for, that are all on the channel. And then you can see what it looks like. You can actually see what KEKD looks like up there in your chat message on my screen. It's a little laughing face of a man. So there you go. That's what that is.
In Iran, at least 41 people have been killed in a series of escalating protests demanding justice for a 22-year-old Kurdish woman named Mahsa Amini.
So I'm just going to quickly run through this if you're not aware of what's going on. Mahsa Amini basically wore her hijab in Iran in a slightly different way that seemed to be acceptable in the the law of Iran. It sucks. It's really bad. She was actually fucking killed because a bit of her hair was coming out of her hijab. You know, the correct opinion on hijabs is, of course, you can wear whatever the fuck you like. Hey, Sir Rickon, thank you so much for the £36.36. Thank you so much for getting us to 36969. But thank you so much for subbing off Twitch, and thank you so much for supporting the stream. I really appreciate that, Sir Rickon. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, the morality police. There is apparently a kind of police in Iran. I don't know much about it. I'm not an expert on Iran. But there's a lot of discourse around Iran now, where lots of people are saying, like, oh, this is a CIA-based coup, which is, of course, ridiculous. It's implying that people in imperial periphery countries don't have autonomy, which doesn't make any sense. Of course they do. They can do lots of things without CIA backing. And there's a lot of discourse as well saying that nobody should be wearing hijabs. That's, of course, the incorrect take. If you want to wear a hijab because you're a Muslim and you want to, you know, actually worship in that way, that's fine. That's up to you. And if you don't want to do that, you can also not do that as a Muslim. And you should be able, that freedom should be everywhere in every single country, just in the world. That's just how it should be. But in Iran, there is a very fascist sort of, I don't know, it's not even really a secret police because it's not actually secret. You know, they just go around and in fact, members of the public are men, obviously, are empowered to actually go round in Iran to women and say, you're not wearing your hijab. Why are you not wearing your hijab? Wear your hijab. And, like, you know, make them feel fucking ashamed for not wearing it and shit. Yeah, France trying to ban hijabs is fucked. Yeah, it absolutely is. Banning hijabs is fucked. Banning people from not wearing, banning people not wearing hijabs is fucked. Both things can be true, you know? It's less like a secret police and more like an inquisition. It's more like, it's more like the patriarchy in Iran is more intense than a lot of other countries, you know what I mean? So it's not fucking good. Eliminating choice is bad. Right, exactly, right. Gender criticals are using this to promote misogyny and racism. Is that right? I did not know why. I actually did not know. I didn't know why. I actually didn't know that they were doing that. Yeah, what business of any government is it? Yes, again, transgender, body autonomy, it's important. Right, exactly. So it's really sad. There are lots of protests going on. There are actually men and women side by side in Iran at the moment. There's a lot of interest in history to Iran in terms of they had a cultural revolution back in the 70s, and then some shit went down that I'm not sure is CIA backed or anything like that, but I think that it is quite widely accepted that it was foreign influence that made them, they had a coup, I think. Something like that. It kind of happened in Afghanistan as well. Like a lot of similar things happened in the Middle East back in the 70s, back in the 80s. Oh, Iran was the CIA's first thing. Oh, well, there you go. There you go. Yeah, there was a cultural revolution there. You know, in fact, one of the stupidest reasons that I know this piece of information is because I'm a big fan of the movie Samurai Cop. And that movie is made by a guy who came from Iran. And in Iran, when they had the Cultural Revolution, he owned a bunch of cinemas and he was a filmmaker, and he was a refugee from Iran from when they were shutting down a bunch of people, you know, they had art and stuff like that, and the cultural sort of fascism was like, okay, you can't have any art or anything like that. It all has to be like approved by the government or whatever. And so he actually came from Iran to make movies. And that's how I know about that. That's how I learned about that. And actually that kind of spurred me on to have an interest in geopolitical stuff, basically. So you can thank Samurai Cop for my interest in geopolitics. Not just Samurai Cop, but, you know, a lot of other stuff as well. Anyway. There's literally a morality police. They roll in black vans and pick people up for morality violations, too much hair out the hijab, talking to the opposite sex. Yeah, it's fucked. But they won't do that to men either. They won't do that to men. If a man is talking to a woman, they won't put the man in the back of a van. They'll put the woman in the back of the van. So it's not good. Yeah, there's people who are protesting that, yeah, a lot of people are getting killed for it. It is not good. But there are huge protests going on all over Iran right now. There is an internet blackout and everything. It's extremely fucked. Gender criticals did the same thing about the Taliban when they took over in Afghanistan recently. Fucking hell. They just co-opt everything, don't they? Really horrible fascist bastards. It's funny as well now that it's actually been exposed that gender criticals are, you know, a lot of them are fascists now. It's actually been exposed that that's the fact, because of the Brighton protest that they did, isn't it? And now they're kind of falling apart a little bit. So that's a bit interesting. You know, there are some people who are fine with it. There are some people who are not fine with it, and it's finally questioning the fucking, you know, the cognitive dissonance. But anyway, let's continue with this. Hey, Caitlin, how you doing? Welcome in.
Who died in the custody of Iran's so-called morality police. The Norway-based group Iran Human Rights has put the death toll at 57, with hundreds arrested over the past 10 days. On Saturday,
wow, look at these women shaving their fucking heads. That rocks. That's fucking cool as fuck.
President Ibrahim Raisi vowed to decisively...
Guy shaving his head in solidarity with the women as well. This fucks hard. This fucks so hard. You know? The whole gender critical right-wing women are women thing. Yeah. A lot of them are saying that. And it's like, we stand up for all women. Even the Nazis. Yeah, it's fucked. It's really fucked. That's what we're talking about, Andy. Yeah, this is so fucking awesome. And Gomez is right. These fuckers are so brave. Like, you know, this isn't like... So, you know, there are a lot of countries in the world where it's dangerous to protest. The US is one of them. The UK were quite lucky that we can still protest and not have as many bad things happen to us as in other countries, right? But really, to know what kind of government you're going up against and, you know, being this brave is incredible. And I actually empathize quite a lot with the people of Iran, because I've thought time and time again, you know, when you go out and you do anti-fascist protesting and stuff like that, of course, there's always a danger that you might get injured, you might get killed, you might get stabbed, shot, beaten up, or anything like that. And, you know, I think that when you're in a situation like that, because this is what I've always thought if that did happen to me, then I wouldn't want to live in a world where that would actually happen to me anyway. And I would want to at least stand up against that stuff, you know. And if I died, well, at least I died doing what I believe. And I think there's a lot of honor in that, actually. And I'm not saying that people should just throw their lives away. I'm saying that, like, it's incredibly brave. And I think it's, in fact, one of the most human things that you can do to stand up to a government that could potentially execute you. And, you know, I have a lot of fucking empathy for people in places like Qatar and Saudi Arabia as well. You know, for just literally saying on the internet that you support human rights and then just getting executed. I think that's incredibly brave. And, you know, it sucks. They shouldn't die. They shouldn't. No one should die because of their political beliefs. I think that's fucking horrible. But, you know, fucking hell. It's just, you know, I don't know. It's such a powerful statement, isn't it? It really is. It really makes you think. It really makes you fucking think about our place in this world and what's right and what you know. It's just incredible, isn't it? You know? Anyway. Hey, Odnon, what's going on? Shafiq, can I get a shout out for Odnon, please? Odnon is a phenomenal streamer, branching out into politics streams at the minute. Please go and show him some love. He's a great guy. There was a video of the Iranian military shooting guns in the air, mocking protesters at night, yelling, "Come protest now," wanting to kill them. Yeah, it sucks. Like, you know, how much of that, you know, military conditioning, I don't know. It's really hard, isn't it? It's really hard. With a lot of LGBTQIA plus stuff, my dad is traditional Muslim, and I shut that shit down immediately. Whether it kills the vibe, event, or whatever, I don't let it go by unopposed. Yeah, I think that's good. I think it's good to challenge your parents' conservative views. You know, there's a lot to be said about doing that. But then there's a lot to be said about also, like, asking yourself, how much damage are your parents doing? Like, for example, my mum, right? She's okay with me being queer. She's okay with transgender people existing. She's okay with queer people existing. She's not fundamentally racist. She's not fundamentally bigoted in any way. She's simply a class traitor because she grew up working class and she now votes for the Tories, right? And what you kind of have to ask yourself is, like, okay, so if it gives me psychic damage to debate with my mum because she can't handle it. She genuinely can't handle some of the things that I say because it shakes her entire worldview. You know, she's been conditioned over years and years and years and years and years that capitalism is good, neoliberalism is good. She thinks that Liz Truss getting elected is really good because she's a woman. And she thought the same about Theresa May, Margaret Thatcher, all that stuff. So, you know, it hurts my brain to try and tell her, right? It hurts my brain to try and tell her that all this stuff is not actually feminism. And that she needs to really actually, if she wants to do feminism, she should read some of the good feminist, you know, writers and shit like that, because she's a big reader, you know. The new Italian PM as well. I don't know if she'd think that about the Italian PM, Alejandro, but welcome in, because she is explicitly fascist rather than just pseudo-fascist like the Tories. Because the Tories, you know, they have said some explicitly fascist things, but they're hidden behind other things, right? Do you know what I mean? It's not explicitly fascist in the way that Georgia, what's-her-face, is, you know, literally saying that Mussolini was good and we wish that Mussolini still existed and we're going to do things that Mussolini did. I don't think that my mum would be all right with that. But again, it's behind the recuperation of liberal ideas and left-wing ideas that my mum thinks that, you know, yeah. So it's, you know, so anyway, that's the point. Point I'm trying to make about debating your parents is, you have to ask yourself, you know, what audience does my parent have? Do they have a large audience? Do they have a YouTube channel? Are they, you know, spouting lies to their community book club or whatever and shit like that? You know, you've got to ask yourself, like, how much damage are they actually doing to the community? Because if my mum, for example, is a gamer, And she's a gamer that just kind of like doesn't really go outside that much. She doesn't really have a lot of interactions with people who may be liberal and maybe swayed or you know, politically neutral. They don't actually think that much about politics, and you know, she's not got that much chance of converting a lot of people to fascism, really. So it's not really that much of a big deal whether I make my mum a communist or not. It would be nice if she was. But generally speaking, a lot of the things that she says are pretty progressive. It just so happens that she votes for the fucking Tories, and that sucks, right? Yeah, my mum needs to touch grass. Yeah, she literally does. But the thing is that she's done a lot of that because she grew up in the fucking 70s and the 80s, and she's been working class her entire life until she met my stepdad, and now she's middle class, and she relies on his income and stuff in order to survive. So she's dependent on the patriarchy. Actually, it's really interesting. Like, it's not good. I don't want to frame it as like good or like fun to talk about. You know what I mean? But it's interesting how like, you know, there are certain women who think themselves as feminists, but they're wholly dependent on the patriarchy in order to survive, and they don't actually like. Because my mum would never talk back to Robert on his political opinions, my stepdad. She would never do that. She would never push back and be like, oh, I think you're going a bit too far there. Sometimes she does, but not really about politics. You know, about like ways, like when he treats me like a fucking 14-year-old still, and I'm 32, you know. Anyway, I digress. Basically, what I'm trying to say to you folks is don't burn yourself out by debating people who aren't actually going to listen to you, or actually don't have that much of an influence in the wider sphere of, you know, politics. So that's that, basically, you know. Choose your battles, as I always say. I had a lesbian Mexican immigrant friend who was a Trump supporter. I tried to explain to her, but she wasn't having it. Yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard. You know, there's lots of different ways to sort of speak to people who are working class, who are oppressed and stuff like that, who may not understand their oppression. But I think you have to draw the line at sort of finger pointing at them and going, you're oppressed, you're oppressed, you're oppressed, because that doesn't work. It doesn't work on anybody who has those kinds of conservative views. Do you know what I mean? It's not going to work. Even a white person, like, who is a cishet white guy who's like working class, like pointing at them and going, you're oppressed, you're oppressed. It doesn't work. You know, we have to really think about how we communicate with people like that, right? Hey, Squid, what's going on? Gang, please go and show some love to Squidly Diddly Widdly Biddly Squidly Widdly Widdly. An absolute phenomenal chicken. They're not a chicken, they're a squid. An absolutely phenomenal squid. So please go and show Squid some love. I was in their stream last night. It was very fun. Engray says, my parents are classic Democrats, think vote blue is the only way. Both hate Fox News, and so while they watch CNN, the actual harm in their views is seldom, so I don't argue, but just push commie rhetoric and talking points every once in a while. Probably won't sway them, but at least they're hearing some other views that are not right-winged. I think that's a great take. And I think that is a very good way to look at it, Engray. You know, you ask yourself, like, what harm is actually going to come from these people having political opinions. Of course, they have the power to vote, but then again, we're all aware in this community, well, I think the majority of us are aware that actually acting outside of electoral politics is how you actually, I think that's actually more effective in converting people from liberalism or conservatism. Do you know what I mean? Hey, Aslan, what's going on? Shafiq, could I get a shout out for Aslan Silver? How you doing? Yeah, my holiday was lovely. It was really lovely. If not tainted by some absolute nonsense. But generally speaking, my holiday was great. It was a much needed recharge time. So yeah, it was really good. Go follow Aslan, everyone. Absolutely lovely guy. Squid says, I was just talking about this with someone. Trump really played the long game by really appealing to the Commonwealth of America. He's really hedged himself as the outsider who listens to him. It's hard to combat that when most Democrats and Republicans are career politicians. Yeah, this is why I think that legitimately the way that we're going to convert most working class conservative leaning people, or Because what you've got to remember is that the working class are the majority of people, right? In every capitalist country, there is no such capitalist country that exists where the petty bourgeois or the bourgeoisie are the majority. It simply doesn't exist because of the nature of capitalism, right? So we don't need to worry about converting those people. Because if we do on-the-ground work, working with things like unions, labour unions, renters unions, mutual aid groups, support groups for queer people, we are going to understand. We're going to actually be able to teach people about the fundamentals of left-wing ideas and, a society based on love and compassion, rather than just like shouting at people that aren't going to listen to us. So, I think that's how it's got to be. And that is how we are going to get more people to come round. The RMT are doing a great job of that. In understanding that there are working class people who are unfortunately socially conservative. And, in fact, we don't change their opinions by forcing them out of society and forcing them out of movements. Of course, if they end up being harmful to the movement, if they end up being harmful to people, marginalized people within the movement, then they do deserve to be pushed out of the movement. But, if they simply have bad opinions and they don't act on those opinions and, work together with those people that actually they don't, think are good, then they're actually everything I've heard about immigrants is wrong. Actually. And of course, there shouldn't be any onus on marginalized people to be forced to work with people like that. I would never force, as a queer man, I would never ask like queer people to work with homophobes. I wouldn't do it. But there are just going to be some people in organizations like that, like big, massive organizations that probably keep it quite quiet what they think about marginalized people. And then, they'll come into these organizations and they'll go, oh shit, everything that I've heard about these people is wrong. So shit, they're actually supporting working class people, and there isn't a liberal elite that's controlling the narrative about what should be done in the country. And like there isn't like a woke police going around, a woke liberal elite that's eradicating the white race. I don't know, it just seems to me that is the way that you actually convert people with conservative opinions rather than shouting at them. You know what I mean? It's just shouting at people who aren't going to listen to you, essentially. But again, this is a nuanced discussion, and it's something that you really have to think about as leftists. Like, this is a huge thing. I used to think about this all the time. Jen, thank you so much for the raid. How are you doing? Thank you so much for shouting out Jen. I appreciate that. Thank you, Chloe. Please go and follow Jen, everybody. She is a phenomenal streamer. She's a good friend of mine. You were playing Pokemon Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. That's great. I hope you had a great time with that. If you're coming in from Jen's stream and you don't know me, my name's djmuel. I am a leftist political streamer. I'm like a React streamer. I basically like watch content like this and react on it and talk about that and shit like that. My pronouns are he, him. I don't know if I said that. I've also got ADHD. Things that I say a minute ago, I can't fucking remember. But anyway, we're just in the midst of a huge discussion about, like, the actual right way to stop people from being fascists. Not necessarily fascists, but sort of conservatives. It's a big conversation, and it's kind of been a bit of a derail, and I wanted to watch more of the news. We're actually looking at the people protesting in Iran. From people getting killed for not wearing their hijabs correctly. So that's a very awesome thing that they're doing. And to be honest, I've been talking for too long about all that stuff. And we're going to resume the video very soon. I'm just going to have a quick look at the chat. Let's have a look. There sure was some nonsense. Where did I go on holiday? I went to Wales. Transgender. And that's only because my mum has a place there, and she obviously doesn't charge for people to go and use it for holidays. So we went there. It's a very, very cheap, very, very British holiday. And the train was actually really nice. It was actually a really nice train journey. It went like all through nice countryside of Wales and stuff like that. It was lovely. It was very nice. Oh, wow. Okay, guitar guy Nick. Yeah, I will get distracted by this one tweet. That's Liz Truss, the new Prime Minister, congratulating Giorgia Meloni, a fascist, on her success in the Italian elections. From supporting Ukraine to addressing global economic challenges, the UK and Italy are close allies. Interesting. Liz Truss Alini. Wow. Love that for us here in the UK. Very normal. I don't know how my parents vote, and I really want to keep it that way. Various conversations with my mum. Seems they're not left enough to vote for Sinn Féin, which probably means they vote for one of the centre-right neoliberal parties. And what does it matter which one it is? Right, I get that, yeah. I know they both voted yes on marriage equality, and my dad voted no on repeal, but my mum would have voted yes if she was here at the time. She was on holiday, and Ireland don't allow early or remote voting outside of extreme circumstances. Ah, fair enough, yeah. That's the exact reason why in 1 or 2 years' time, right now I simply can't due to personal stuff. I'll be building a support network for LGBTQIA teens and young adults. That would be fucking awesome, Cynthia. That would rock. So good. Monkfish, welcome in. It was Poke Fun. That's cool. Ginger with Envy. That's a cool name. It was fun. We were wondering if Team Skull's identical hair was all wigs, if they got them when they joined up. That is a good point to make about Team Skull. I remember Team Skull. My favorite Pokemon antagonists. Very cool. Celiac Attack Zach, free Palestine. Yes, I agree. Free fucking Palestine. Welcome in, everybody. How you all doing? Wales has a very pretty countryside. It's gorgeous. You've probably seen it in the Discord. Our own Prime Minister's been congratulating this dipshit as well. I did see that, Gree. Yeah, it's not very good. The Tory party openly supporting fascism and claiming allyship. Never. Yeah. Fucked. How are the Hillary stands handling this? Like essentially Trump, but that's glass ceiling feminism, I guess. I don't really know what you mean by that. I wonder if you can expand. I'm not quite understanding what that means. Britain appeasing fascists. Yeah, what does that remind you of? Yeah. It's almost like there's a piece of modern history that you could relate that to, isn't it? To be in Team Skull, you gotta dye your hair for sure. Hillary congratulated her win. Oh, is that right? Ew. Gross. Anyway, chat, let's get back to the news. Let's check it out.
Crackdown on the protests. Solidarity rallies were also held across the globe this weekend. In Iraq, dozens of Iraqi and Iranian Kurds rallied Saturday to protest the death of Mahsa Amini.
That's amazing. In Iraq as well. That's great. It's great to see such a worldwide solidarity for Iran. Now, I think that what a lot of people are concerned about regarding Iran is that, of course, Iran are seen as enemies of the imperial core. Israel famously fucking despises Iran because they despise Arabs. And, of course, the US is terrified about Iran having access to nuclear weapons because that would make them a country that they can no longer stomp all over. So I think that people are worried that, the US is going to back these protests and hijack them and stuff like that. So I wonder if, that is actually something that's going to happen. I hope it doesn't happen. I hope that the people of Iran and the people of Iraq and other imperial periphery countries have got their own autonomy and are able to, take these movements to their conclusion. Support from Iraq is problematic. Iran as a regional power has been exerting its political influence on Iraqi politics, so it depends if the support is independent of that. Right, yeah, exactly, yeah. There's so much nuance going on here, and that's because, let's face it, chat, that's because of all the meddling that the imperial core does in these countries. It wouldn't be as complicated as it is if it wasn't for our countries absolutely fucking them over for years and years and years and years and years, extracting as many resources as they possibly can from them, and just leaving the people to deal with this, unfortunately, extremely complicated political political situation. It sucks, right?
They killed Masa Amini because of a piece of hair coming out from her hijab. The youth is asking for freedom. They're asking
It's extremely
for rights
complex
for
and
all the
complicated.
people.
That's right, yeah.
Because everyone has the right to have dignity and freedom. The youth, the 15, 16-year-old are asking for rights and freedom, but they kill us. They do not have a conscience, no humanity. They are killing immediately.
In news from Italy, Giorgia Meloni appears poised to become Italy's first...
Much of the Islamic world hates Iran due to the Sunni and Shia conflict. Yeah, I've heard that too, yeah. Oh, here we go, chat. Here we go, chat. Legit fascism. Straight in. God damn. God damn, this sucks. So yeah, you know, if this is something that's going to upset you talking about this, don't worry. I will understand if you have to leave. But yeah, it is so bad. Iraq is one of the largest Kurdish populations, so that makes sense. Ah, gotcha. Okay, there we go. Giorgia Meloni. Giorgia Meloni, eh?
Far-right leader since World War II in the reign of Benito Mussolini. Meloni declared victory after projections show neo-fascist Brothers of Italy party placed first in Sunday's elections with about 26% of the vote, up from just 4% in 2018.
Up from 4%. How has that happened in Italy? I would love to have, like, some Italian political streamers to talk about this with. Because, like, I have no idea what's gone on in Italy. The only Italian person that I know is Penny Meowie. And all she's said is that it's really bad and she hates it. And I understand that. Because Penny is, to be honest, a bit of a comrade from the stuff that I've heard her say in the past. Yeah, Penny's political streams when? Well, not anytime soon if this is fucking happening, because I imagine she'll get fucking arrested if she decides to say anything against this fucking government. So, you know, fucking hell. It kind of upsets me more how the liberal world reacts to it. Yeah, it's so bad, honestly. It's so fucking bad. Hey, Confero, what's going on? So many countries seem to be moving far right. Well, yeah, okay, so, you know, this is scary for people, but what I'm gonna tell you now is why this happens. Sophie said something really cool to me once when we were hanging out, and that is that the one way to stop yourself from being scared about things is to actually understand why they happen, right? So, for example, if you are scared of getting put in prison, one thing that you could do is learn actually what it's like to be in prison, right? You know, you could read some books from people who live in prison, have been imprisoned and stuff like that. So in terms of the rise of fascism in, I mean, let's face it, because it isn't necessarily just Europe, it's actually like the world. This has happened, right? Do you know what I mean? You can argue all you want till you're blue in the face that the Democrats have solved fascism in the US. It's not happened at all. Fascist attacks are still happening in many states. Openly Proud Boys are going to LGBTQIA plus events, trying to shut them down and stuff like that. What you have to understand, right, is in the imperial core, which is where all this is happening, the standard mode of system is capitalism. Capitalism that is ruled by neoliberal politics, right? So when you have neoliberal capitalism, it's basically far right anyway. So people are used to far right opinions anyway. In a lot of ways, the countries that we live in, whether we have, in the imperial core, whether we have openly fascist dictators ruling us or not, are already technically fascist because of the sort of crypto-fascist nature of neoliberalism, right? So, in terms of, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. Yeah, I understand why some people are thinking that, and I understand why it's scary, but it's just how this system works. It is literally socialism or barbarism. There are no other options when we have a system like capitalism, because it drives people to extremes. And if the people who are controlling the narrative are neoliberals, of course that's why this is happening, right? Because the narrative that's being played out to people is that, you know, all the economic problems that you have, it's because of immigrants. There's going to be no major newspapers in Italy that are saying the economic problems that you have are because of capitalism. It's not going to happen. It's not going to exist. You know? Would you say that neoliberalism is fascism light? It's a nuanced discussion, isn't it? There's no binary answer to that, right? Because you had neoliberal fascism in Chile, which was the advent of neoliberalism, right? That was actually legit open dictatorship fascism, but it was neoliberal politics, right? And you could argue that the suppression of free speech for leftists in America is an example of neoliberal fascism too, right? Yeah, neoliberalism is the economic policy. What goes on behind the closed doors of that, you know, it's a very lucrative tool and opportunity for fascists. Exactly, yeah, exactly. You know, I think that more and more often these days, Cynthia. Yeah, one of these days might just pack my shit and hightail it to Cuba. Might go to Cuba, might go to Vietnam. You know, I do genuinely think that if by the time I want to retire, if I make it that far, if the world makes it that far, I'm like, I'm just gonna move to Cuba or I'm just gonna move to Vietnam. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them, innit? Fascism doesn't care how the economy works as long as they have control. Right, exactly. And the thing is, and that's why we're going to talk about MAGA Communism later. If you're wondering what the M*GA is, it's not mega communism, it's MAGA Communism. This is the thing that's happening now. You know, MAGA Communism is a silly ideology and it's a silly idea to try and... they're trying to convert MAGA right-wing conservatives, far-right conservatives, into being communists, right? Nazbols, basically. It's basically Nazbols. That's what they're doing. But at the end of the day, fascists wouldn't care if they had socialism for fascists, you know, but it still won't work. It simply won't work. Especially it won't work in America. There's no chance of MAGA communism taking hold in America because... you know, the people who support Make America Great Again are so fucking, you know, conditioned against anything related to communism, right? Thinking of getting my Mexican citizenship at least, long overdue. Absolutely, yeah. Well, Mexican is kind of going left. I think Guitar Guy Nick said South America's going socialist again. There's a lot of countries in South America, Latin America that are, you know, talking about that. MAGA communism is just another example of MAGA trying to co-opt a word, destroying its meaning to undermine any attempts at discussion. I don't think that's actually what it is, Commander Styles. I think it's actually Nazbols who are trying to appeal to the far right in order to gain support. Because the far right, MAGA people, they're not actually like, you know, they're not in favor of this. I do believe that Jackson Hinkle thinks he's a communist. I do believe that Caleb Maupin also thinks he's a communist. I just think that they're extremely racist communists. You know, shock horror gang, but a lot of communists in the past have been extremely racist, you know, especially in Russia during the USSR, you know. So I don't know if I agree that it's MAGA people co-opting communism, because I sincerely believe that the far right in America want nothing to do with communism. They've been McCarthy'd out the arse. Personally, that's my opinion. They think they're communists. They just don't do or say many communist things. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think that's a fair shake, actually, because I do think that these MAGA communists... We're going to watch a video on it in a minute anyway. We are going to watch a video in a minute. But from what I've seen, they do actually support communist economic policy. Apart from, they don't want a stateless society. Or they kind of do. It's weird. That bit's weird. It's neither here nor there. Do you know what I mean? Hinkle definitely comes across as MAGA, fear-mongering about Antifa and George Soros as well. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. For sure. Is there a way to describe yourself as a communist that is separate from the previous failings of things that communists did that were unsavory? Well, it depends what things you want to separate yourself from. If you want to separate yourself from Stalinism, you just simply don't call yourself a Stalinist. I think it's as easy as that. If you don't like that Mao executed a bunch of people, you can just not call yourself a Maoist. You know. I genuinely think that like calling yourself a Marxist-Leninist is the best way to be like, I'm a Marxist-Leninist communist. I want a stateless, moneyless, classless society. But as an anarchist as well, I would genuinely say that we cannot have a fair society without anarchism either. Because you have to attack the hierarchies amongst other sort of power structures. For example, white supremacism, gender binaries and stuff like that. So I would argue that you should really be an anarchist and a communist, an anarchist, Marxist, Leninist, and take a lot of different things, from all over the place, right? From all over the place that Vietnamese communism, for example, Cuban communism. These are examples of communism that's worked really well, right? I want to get my hands on the book about the indigenous form of communism, which Marx took it from, and then learn more about the history of it. As far as I'm aware, Peanut Butter Princess, I don't think it was... I think the book was not specifically talking about... It wasn't written by indigenous people. I think it was written by colonizers. And if you want to learn about indigenous communism, you should watch Twin Rabbits videos. I think that's the best way. Actually listen to indigenous people. And in fact, Twin Rabbit will tell you that not all indigenous people were communists and anarchists either. A lot of them were, but a lot of them also had their own version of capitalism too. So, it's not ideal. You've got to remember, indigenous people are not a monolith, and we have to from what I remember that's where I learned it was from Twin Rabbit's review. Well, I might be wrong. You might be right there. But I thought it was actually written by a colonizer, not an indigenous person. But fair enough. Yeah. If that is actually what it is, then that would be a good way to sort of look at it. What's Lorcan saying here? They say they support a communist economy, but I feel like it's a thing they claim. The way they talk about the economy betrays that. Need to go back and look at some of Maupin's stupid shit for examples. His deification of LBJ doesn't feel like he really understands what a classless, moneyless society is. Yeah, I mean, what you've got to remember is that these people are also part of the bourgeoisie, petty bourgeoisie at least, right? So, Yeah, ancient Mayans and Aztecs were pretty much feudalists. And again, within the Mayan, indigenous group, there are also people who weren't feudalists and stuff like that. There's so much variety in how different indigenous peoples ran their societies and stuff like that. There's loads. There's absolutely loads. So yeah, don't uphold, because indigenous is a word to describe someone who is indigenous to a part of the world, right? It's not just like, oh, there is one race of people that are indigenous, right? I think a lot of white people forget that, right? It's not like that. Anyway. Hello, Sportsy. Hello, Johnny. How's it going? Welcome in. Welcome. Go follow Johnny, everyone. He's a lovely guy. Great streamer as well. Let's continue with the news.
Meloni campaigned on an anti-immigration platform and will become Italy's first female prime minister. Meloni spoke to supporters Sunday night.
That's why you've got all these people who co-opt feminism getting excited about this, because she's the first Italian prime minister. Terrible.
When this night is over, we have to remember. We must remember that we are not at the end point. We are at the starting.
Oh, that sucks. When this night is over, we must remember that we're not at the end point. We're at the starting point. And you know what that means, don't you, chat? We need to do so much work to get rid of all the immigrants, all the queers, everyone who's different. Oh, I hate this so much.
Point. It is from tomorrow that we must prove our worth.
We'll have more on the Italian election and the rise of the far-right neo-fascists in Europe after headlines. A county judge in Arizona has banned nearly all abortions in the state, citing a law signed in 1864.
Oh, these fuckers are so ridiculous. 1864? We didn't even know what germ theory was in 1864. God damn it, even. Hey, Goat-Eyed, what's going on? Morpin was charging his followers rent. That's true. Horrific. This is horrific. So many people are going to suffer because of this. Oh, you know.
When Arizona was still a territory. Under the 1864 law, there's no exception for rape or incest, and anyone who helps a woman obtain an abortion could face 2 to 5 years in prison. The head of Planned Parenthood slammed the abortion ban, saying it was, quote, sending Arizonians back nearly 150 years. The judge's ruling came a day before a new law went into effect in Arizona banning abortions after the 15th week of pregnancy.
So fucked up. Extremely fucked up. No exceptions for rape or incest. You know, the thing is that, like we say on Red Planet all the time, is that when fascist laws come into effect, there will be a resistance. You know, if they think that people are just simply not going to get abortions anymore, that's incorrect. There will be doctors who will, because of their Hippocratic oath and because they understand that people's healthcare comes above people in power who do not care about them, they will still do abortions. And they might be good. They might be, you know, able to operate for a certain amount of time before they get found out or whatever. However, there are also going to be people who are going to be resorting to tactics like creating abortion pills themselves. Right? Which is a thing. Like, you can actually synthesize, if you know how, to create abortion pills. And you can just find that out on the internet. Right? And while there are some people who are going to be well versed in chemistry and understand how to synthesize drugs, and do that correctly, there are going to be some people who take advantage of the fact that we live in capitalism and that could be seen as a business opportunity. And maybe they won't be so careful in how they synthesize these drugs. So, you know, all that's going to happen is more people are going to suffer, but people are going to keep having abortions, and they're not going to be able to stop that. You know, they're creating a new black market. That's what's happening, right? Oh, God damn it. Yeah, in 1864, people thought cocaine, was a panacea. What's a panacea? That's a new word for me. I think I've heard it before, but, like, what is that? Panacea? Solution or remedy for all difficulties or diseases. Right, okay, yeah, so like a cure-all. Right, yeah. While campaigning for repeal, I used to tell people I was about to break the law, and I told them how milfprostone and misoprostol worked, because at the time that was technically breaking the law in Ireland if you could prove that the person I told went on to use that information to illegally procure a miscarriage. Right, exactly, yeah.
The United States is warning Russia that it will face catastrophic consequences if it uses nuclear weapons in Ukraine.
God damn it. I hate this so much. I hate this so much. Here's the thing, chat, right? Here's the thing. If Russia nukes Ukraine, I'm not entirely certain that the US will nuke Russia, because they see Ukraine as a sacrificable country. They're bringing up nukes because Russia is talking about nuking Ukraine. It's actually talking about nuclear attacks. It is actually doing that. It's happening, chat. It's genuinely happening. It's fucked. So fucked. Right? This is what I think. I don't think the US will actually nuke Russia. However, what will happen as a result of Russia using something like the Tsar bomber, right, which is the I think that's like the most modern atomic bomb that Russia has, right? It will fucking not only genocide Ukraine, it will decimate Ukraine, right? But what will happen as a result of that is that so much radiation will go into the atmosphere that, in fact, the entirety of Russia and Western Europe will suffer from radiation poisoning. Oh, it's their largest non-nuclear weapon. Oh, right. Right. Hydrogen 50, it reached a mesosphere. Okay, so that's a hydrogen bomb. It's not actually a nuclear weapon, right? Oh, it was nuclear. Oh, I thought it was nuclear. That's what I thought. I thought it was nuclear. Yeah, because how could you have a bomb that isn't nuclear that would like decimate the entirety? If they drop the Saab bomber on Britain, it would destroy the entirety of Britain. It's that big, right? Not to mention that U.S. interest in Ukraine have only increased since Ukraine began beating the absolute shit out of the Russian army. Yeah. Right, exactly. Hey Gonzo, Hank Stamper, how you doing? Russia has the largest nuclear arsenal of the world, but it isn't as updated or as new as the US. Right, okay, I'm with you. Yeah. Hey Divided, how you doing? So, you know, and also what you have to remember as well is that will affect that Ukraine is one of the breadbaskets of the world. You know, people were talking about the supply chain of grain and crops and stuff like that to places like Africa. You know, countries in Africa, countries all over the world rely on grain from Ukraine. And if Russia were to bomb Ukraine, so many other countries would suffer. And perhaps it would result in another world war. Perhaps it would. But actually, Russia would suffer. And in fact, I think that Russia would suffer so much that the ordinary people living in Russia who are protesting the war now, and loads of people are getting fucking put in prison for that and shit like that, I think that actually it would cause them to fucking have another revolution. Because how would you be able to stand the people who did this to you? You wouldn't care. You'd have nothing to lose anymore because you got radiation poisoning, mass starvation, extreme weather stuff. You know. Russian bombs are still Soviet, which also included horrific levels of destruction outside the designated area. Right, exactly. It's one country away from where Gree lives. That's what I'm saying. If they bombed Ukraine, the entirety of Western Europe, and Eastern and Western Europe, not the entirety of Western Europe, but a lot of Western Europe as well as Eastern Europe, would be suffering the consequences. You know? The news is scary today. It is scary. But, you know, I don't pride myself on not telling you what's happening. I don't pride myself on lying to you. I don't pride myself on not talking about stuff that's incredibly important. You know what I mean? Hey, my name is Plux. What's going on? Welcome in. Good to meet you. Didn't Ukraine surrender the Soviet nuclear weapons based in their territory in exchange for Russian support and their independence? I believe that's what happened, yeah. From the Ukraine spaces I follow, this hatred will last for multiple generations. It will. It absolutely will, yeah. Yeah.
U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan appeared on ABC on Sunday.
What you posting, Nick? Tell us what you want to post.
Privately to the Russians at very high levels that there will be catastrophic consequences for Russia if they use nuclear weapons in Ukraine. We have been clear with them and emphatic with them that the United States will respond decisively alongside our allies and partners, and we have protected those communications, which we have done privately to the Russians, but they well understand what they would face if they went down that dark road.
Jake Sullivan's comment comes days after Russian President Vladimir Putin threatened to use nuclear weapons to protect Russia. This comes as Russia's moving towards annexing parts of occupied Ukraine.
The reason that he's saying this now, it's a video of a Russian state torturing a woman protesting war. She gets locked in a van and you can hear her screaming. I don't think we need to watch that, mate. I think that would be incredibly disturbing for people. I think that just the knowledge that stuff like that is actually happening is enough for a lot of people, right? Don't need to watch that, do we? I think that would be incredibly distressing. We're already talking about some incredibly distressing stuff, and we know that Russia is doing war crimes and, you know, torturing prisoners of war and stuff like that. There's no point in making everybody hear that stuff, you know. Like Greece said, Ukraine started kicking Russia's arse because Russia really didn't expect that their military would be so shit, right? The reason that Russia's military is so shit is because a lot of the Russian soldiers actually didn't even know that they were invading Ukraine when they did. They weren't told it, right? They weren't told. Oh, this is really good. Here we go. This is what happens when you go in the politics section on Twitch. John Douglas Dyson in the chat says, actually, it's the Ukraine that is torturing prisoners. Russia saves lives. You do know that it's possible for two things to be true, don't you? Do you know that? Are you aware of that? Or actually, do you not care? Because I think what the reality is that you don't care that Russia is also torturing prisoners. We're well aware here that both states do that. And we know that, right? We're not stupid. And we're not willfully ignorant like you, right? So unfortunately, you're wrong. Not really. Listen. Brave truth teller in the chat. You know, free thinker. I'm sure you think of yourself as a free thinker, don't you? He's saying things that can't be said, that's right. John Douglas Dyson is saying things that simply can't be said. You can't say the truth. No one knows these facts. It's just so fucking funny. Saying the unsayable. Enjoy your ban, whatever. No more fun. No more fun coming from that. We get a Russian bot up in here. No, I imagine that person is probably a fucking just absolutely brain poisoned liberal or something. I don't know. Maybe not a liberal. Maybe probably even a MAGA communist. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Van Leach says hello from Russia. Hello. How are you on Twitch if you're in Russia? That's what I want to know, because as far as I was aware, Russia was limiting access to Russian citizens for certain websites. That's interesting. I've got, like, you know, Russian friends that I've not seen in a long time in the chat. Maybe a VPN, yeah. Well, if you are actually from Russia and you're telling the truth, I hope that you're doing all right if you actually oppose the war and stuff like that. And I hope you're not getting too down about the whole situation. Solidarity. These days in England, you can't say you're telling the truth without being thrown in jail. That's right. Yeah, I think that was an American 14-year-old. I'm absolutely convinced. Absolutely convinced, yeah. Twitter's blocked? Right, okay, with you. Some Russians have gotten access to Instagram and such from Georgia. Oh, okay, I'm with you, yeah. And Kazakhstan? Right, okay, with you. Also, Thane Twilight is in the chat. Please go and show some love to Thane Twilight. Phenomenal streamer. Hope you're doing good. Welcome in. Anyway, let's crack on.
Vowing to protect.
So what I was trying to say before we were rudely interrupted by John Douglas Dyson there, is that the reason that, so look at this now, like, is this what I think it is? Is this Russians being forced to sign up to the military like old men? Is that what's happening? Is that what I'm seeing here?
Protect the areas as if they were Russian territory. Referendums on joining Russia are being held in 4 areas. In Russia, police arrested at least 700...
Oh no, was that the referendum? They're all being forced to vote. It's really bad. It's very, very bad. So anyway, so Russia is losing their shit. They're trying to, like, desperately drum up support for the war because people don't want to fucking get conscripted. People don't want to fight in wars. Like, you know, it's not 1919 anymore where people don't understand that there are different options than serving your country in a military fashion. You know, people don't want to get strapped with an AK and force them into fucking, you know what I mean? Force them into countries that they don't really have any beef with the people who live in that country, and in fact they support their independence and shit like that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, at gunpoint, you know, I wouldn't put it past them generally. I wouldn't. Yeah, they're trying to close borders so that people don't run away from Russia. It's extremely fucked. It's extremely fucked. You know? Yeah, they'll vote the right way or else. It's so bad. You know, and there are so many Russians, like I'm sure Van Liege in the chat, you know, supports, you know, the autonomy of the people of Ukraine and doesn't support the war and shit like that. I could tell by, like, you know, what they're talking about in the chat that that's quite obvious what's happening. And, you know, and it really fucking sucks. Like, you know, what do you do if you're a Russian person and you don't want to fucking fight? So there's a scenario that happened similar to this, chat, and you might have heard of it. And it's called the Vietnam War. And in the Vietnam War, what Americans did, what the USA did, was they tried to force a bunch of hippies that were almost causing a genuine socialist revolution in the US. They tried to force these hippies to fight in a war that they didn't want to fight in, right? And so what happened as a result of that was record-breaking numbers of privates, you know, private Marines and stuff like that, killing their commanding officers. It was a huge thing. Yeah, people were running into the forest to escape them. And they, like, when the Viet Cong, like, found them, is the Viet Cong the right thing to say? I don't know if the Viet Cong is the right... The Vietnamese army. When the Vietnamese army found them, they would be like, no, sorry, no, I literally don't want to fight you. I'm surrendering. And the Vietnamese would be like, all right, sweet. We'll put you, you know, in like a camp. It's a prisoner of war camp, unfortunately, because you are a prisoner of war. You know, because we don't exactly trust the Americans. But you're going to go there. We're going to actually look after you. Hey, Jojo, what's going on? Can I get a shout out as well for Jojo, please, Shafiq? Yeah, people are fleeing the draft. You know, and you know, we can see what happens in places like the Vietnam War and places where they forcefully conscript people to fight in wars that they don't want to fight in. And that is that they will end up committing violence against the commanding officers or fleeing en masse. Like, they will do that. And that is true because, and we know it's true because it's happened in the past. Right? That's why warfare nowadays is favored in people using things like drones on countries that don't have nuclear weapons. And if they're a big country, nuclear threat of just like, well, if you fuck with me, I'll nuke you. That's the favored method of warfare nowadays because they understand that people are actually waking up to the fact that they don't have to shoot other people. And if they get forced to shoot other people, then the likelihood of them shooting the people forcing them to shoot other people skyrockets. Because they're not stupid. They know that this happens, right? They know that this happens, the people who are in charge of the military. They know that that's what happens. You know. Hey, Sickle Me Pink. I love that name. The average age of the ones fighting for the US was 19. Was it 21? The documentary the song quoted was wrong. Yeah. Still very young. Still very young, yeah. All right, guitar guy Nick. See you later, friend. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate that. What was that napalm ship the two troops took over and sailed to Cambodia? Yeah. There was another that I think that happened as well, didn't it? Anyway, right, let's crack on.
30 people across 32 cities on Saturday alone as protesters demanded Putin reverse his decision to hold Russia's first military draft since World War II to call up 300,000 additional troops to fight in Ukraine.
Fucking hell, they're just like battering him. People in Russia could die not only in the war, but also police in their own city. In Moscow, I already met a lot of people who were trying to disguise themselves so as to not get on the street cameras. Yeah, and that's based. That's based that they're disguising themselves, and it sucks that the police are attacking them like this. And I believe you. I believe you 100%. It's fucked. It's extremely fucked. You know, but when you oppress people this much, of course there's going to be pushback. Didn't a recruiting officer get shot at a draft thing? In which one, Vietnam or now? I don't know. Possibly. But we're going to start seeing that happen in Russia as a result of this. This is what happens when you force people into drafts. They're literally going to start shooting recruitment officers. You know? Yeah, absolutely, Sickle Me Pink. Yeah, the correct opinion is to be critical of both governments, but support the autonomy of the working class people in both countries. That's the correct opinion to have. Do you know what I mean? Because let's face it, the government in Ukraine is not that good. However, it's important to support the people of Ukraine fighting for their independence, right? Yeah, right, exactly. Now in Russia, is that really happening? I saw it on Popular Front. Oh my God, yeah. Well, I can't show that on stream at all.
Thousands of draft-age men have also attempted to flee Russia, which faces accusations it is disproportionately drafting men from rural areas and from ethnic minorities.
Of course it is.
In Siberia, a gunman was arrested for shooting the head of the local military draft office.
There you go. It actually happened. I hope that it doesn't show that on Democracy Now! Because that would be bad.
Some of the most intense protests have been in the predominantly Muslim region of Dagestan, where
right.
At least 100 protesters have been arrested. There are also reports authorities are drafting Ukrainian men living in areas occupied by Russia to...
You know what it is, chat? It's ACAB time.
...fight Ukraine.
1312.
At the United Nations Saturday...
Look at that, just arresting like a babushka.
...to fight Ukraine.
They do not give a fuck. They're just like, Grandma, don't care. You're going to prison.
At the United Nations Saturday,
Can I recommend you all some links of Ukrainian anarchists and leftist news from Twitter? I'd love that, Gree. Yeah, have a permit. It was hot in Dagestan today. Yeah, I imagine, yeah. Oh my goodness, it's 1312 already, yeah.
Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi spoke at the UN General Assembly. He called for peace talks to end the war in Ukraine.
China supports all efforts conducive to the peaceful resolution of the Ukraine crisis. The pressing priority is to facilitate talks for peace. The fundamental solution is to address the legitimate security concerns of all parties and build a balanced, effective, and sustainable security architecture. We call on all parties concerned to keep the crisis from spilling over and to protect the legitimate rights and interests of developing countries.
Yeah, pretty based.
From Russia, a gunman opened fire at a school today, killing at least...
Ooh, this is going to be... Okay, I don't think there's any footage of... Oh, no, yeah, I can't show that. All right. You're just getting subs only.
13 people, including 7 children.
Oh my God.
Occurred about 600 miles east.
That's Democracy Now's bad editing. It like there was like a bit of blood and then they like snap edited. Oh God, that was. Oh, they just go back to it. Great, lovely.
Seekers have died.
Okay. Anyway, let's go back.
After their boat sank off the coast of Syria. The boat had left Lebanon and was trying to reach Italy. One survivor, Ibrahim Mansour, spoke to Al Jazeera from a hospital bed.
I cry all the time. I'm in shock. I saw bodies and horrible images. My heart hurts. I tried to help children and another man, Abed. I tried to keep their spirits alive, but I couldn't. This is hurting me, especially because of the child who was holding on to me before I lost him. They told me he died.
Fucking hell.
Included 24 children and 31 women. Most of
This is the result of anti-immigration policies. You're just killing more people. That's what it is. That is what it is. That is why, you know, supporting refugees, supporting, you know, a bunch of organizations that deal with refugee aid and stuff like that is the best thing that we can do as leftists at the moment. right? British Red Cross do a lot of cool stuff. You know, there's a load of organizations. There's an absolute fucking shit ton of them. And of course, you know, if you're involved in, like, you know, any sort of immigration support groups or anything like that, you know, let us know. How to escape to the USA from Russia. I wouldn't recommend the USA. Oh, that's a bad choice. That's a bad choice. I mean, where would I advise people to go and live nowadays? You probably got more chance in fucking Britain, to be honest. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Hey, Ancom Psycom, how's it going? Welcome in. Yeah, don't come the USA. Not because they don't want immigrants, just because if you have a choice, you know, there are better countries you could go to. The USA is not on an upward trend at the moment, you know? I don't know. Vietnam seems like a good place to go. Vietnam or Cuba. Places like that. Maybe somewhere in Latin America. Germany could be good. I don't know. Is Germany good? I don't think as a Russian person you would be welcome in Germany. I don't know. I think that there's a lot of like anti-Russian immigration things going on at the minute, right? You're more likely to find a job there. Possibly. I think that you're probably just as likely to find a job in Vietnam or Cuba, but again, I don't know how viable any of that is. Excuse me. I'd rather we take it in care of immigrants and refugees than send them away. It's also a really fucking terrible place if you're an immigrant and refugee. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying, like, you know, I'm not saying this from an anti-immigrant perspective. I'm saying this from like if you have a choice. I heard that in Europe they're not very happy to see people from Russia. Yeah, I think that that's true, which is not good. There's some wild takes about Russian refugees going around. It's horrible. It's horrible. All refugees should be welcome in any country from places like that. You know what I mean? Canada could be a better option. Generally, genuinely, Canada could be a better option. Yeah, possibly.
The boat's passengers were Lebanese, Syrians, and Palestinians. It was one of the deadliest boat disasters in the eastern Mediterranean. In the Philippines, at least 5 people were killed after Typhoon Noru slammed into the northern island of Luzon on Sunday.
Fucking hell.
Sustained winds of 115 miles per hour. The storm, which is known...
Lebanon's economy is collapsing, which is why people are trying to escape. Right, okay, I'm with you.
Locally as Typhoon Carding brought flash flooding that damaged thousands of homes, forced the evacuation of tens of thousands of residents, and cut off electricity to millions of people across 2 provinces.
These boat disasters are happening on a daily basis? Fucking hell.
Philippines' capital, Manila, was largely spared the storm's wrath.
About to get honked by a storm now. There's also a storm happening in Vietnam as well.
Canada, Hurricane Fiona crashed into Nova Scotia Saturday with record-setting ferocity, devastating coastal communities with hurricane-force winds and leaving hundreds of thousands of people in the dark. Fiona was fueled by anomalously warm ocean surface temperatures that allowed it to maintain its strength much farther north than usual. It made
climate change. You know, literally just climate change.
Landfall with the lowest barometric pressure of any storm ever observed in Canada.
Oh,
and in Finland,
man, this
the mayor
sucks.
of Portobasque said Fiona had left the seaside town looking like a war zone with at least 1 person missing and presumed dead after her home was washed out to sea. This is Nova Scotia's premier.
Literally, homes getting washed out to sea now. That's where we're at. That's the bit that we're at. We're at that point. We're at that point of climate change where homes are literally falling into the fucking ocean. It's happening now. And they're just going to get stronger and more frequent, you know?
Premier Tim Houston.
We know that the climate is changing for sure. We're seeing, you look around the world, you're seeing fires, storms. Certainly this is a historic storm for this province. There's no question about that. The damage is significant. But right now,
it sucks, right? But this stuff has been happening in the imperial periphery for years and years and years and years and years already. Right? And I hope that these things happening in white countries, imperial core countries, I hope that this is going to finally fucking wake people up. You know what I mean? I wish more people cared about the climate. Yeah. Yeah, I'm currently reading, and I'm doing very well with reading it, actually. How to Blow Up a Pipeline. And it's fucking phenomenal in terms of, like, saying, why isn't there more of, like, an extreme pushback against climate change? Like, why is it just people sort of, like, going and sitting in Parliament Square and gluing themselves to stuff? Why are we not, like, dismantling machines that are building fossil fuel infrastructure? Why are we not, like, taking apart pipelines? Why are we not, like, stopping oil from getting into the supply chain? Right? Roll of the D says, unfortunately, the people who have the greatest ability to remedy the situation could just buy another house and continue profiting. That's correct. However, they are not the only people that could remedy the situation, as I've just described. There are lots of examples of indigenous people, especially the wet-sweating people, who are on the front line of stopping pipelines from being built. And we, as working class people, could absolutely remedy the situation tomorrow if everybody stood up and went, hang on a minute. This is bollocks. Stop building it. And just get in the way of the fucking caterpillars and all that shit. All the big fucking things and shit like that. Take them apart. Stop them from building it. There are more of us than there are of them. Literally. You know? Evo Mars 999 says, it's called the Midwest because everyone who lives there is mid. I'm sorry. This is an 18+ channel. We don't allow children in this channel, so come back when you're 18, send me an unban request, and then hopefully you'll be mature enough to take part in the conversation. What? I mean, come on, like, if anyone over the age of 18 said that would be extremely embarrassing. Like, that would be the most, like, I would be so ashamed if I had ever said anything like that. If I was over the age of 18. Anyway, let's crack on.
Your priority right now is getting power back to people, getting people a safe shelter, getting some return to normal. That will take time.
I understand that, Jojo. Yeah.
Half the island remains without electricity 1 week after Hurricane Fiona brought devastating flooding that overwhelmed the.
We do need more direct action. That's right, Orrery. Yeah. Environmentalist protesters have been too pacifistic for too long. Yeah, absolutely.
Island's fragile electrical grid.
Like, no one's calling for violence against people, but we are calling for, like, active sabotage. Because I don't think that that's... At this point in time, with all this going on, I actually don't think that that's an extreme position anymore. You know what I mean? Like, of course, you've got to abide... Like, Twitch demands that I tell people to abide by the laws in the countries that they live in, and I would never advocate for anyone breaking the laws or getting themselves in trouble. However, if you can act within the law to do things like that and sabotage the, production of pipelines and fracking and stuff like that, then I encourage you to do so, because we can't let the planet die like this. We just can't. There's only one. There's only one,
Officials say 1 in 5 households and businesses still have no running water. Meanwhile, Puerto Rican farmers are warning of a food crisis.
That's right, Roll of the
after
D.
Fiona flooded fields near Peak Harbor.
Not an extreme reaction, but it would not stop the government from treating you like an extremist. Yeah, it's true.
harvest time, destroying crops of staple foods. A farmers association in eastern Puerto Rico says 90% of the plantain crop was destroyed.
Oh my God, fucking hell.
A hurricane warning is in effect for parts of the Caribbean, with Tropical Storm Ian forecast to strengthen before its expected landfall in far western Cuba late this evening. In Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis has declared a statewide state of emergency ahead of the storm's expected arrival on Wednesday. Forecast models predict Ian will strengthen to a major Category 4 hurricane with 130-mile-per-hour winds before slamming into Florida's panhandle late Wednesday. Leaders of the small island state of Vanuatu have made an urgent plea for nations to sign a fossil fuel non-proliferation treaty. The proposal would see nations agree to end all new coal, oil, and gas projects while phasing out the use of fossil fuels. Speaking to the UN's General Assembly Friday, Vanuatu's president also called for nations to make ecocide a crime punishable by the International Criminal Court. And
this is a normal reaction to what is happening. Do you know what I mean? This is a normal reaction. These people are living on the edge. The edge, like the very precipice of climate change, quite clearly, right?
And he called on the UN's International Court of Justice to rule that people have a right to be protected from the adverse impacts of the climate crisis.
Fundamental human rights are being violated as we begin measuring climate change, not in degrees of Celsius or tons of carbon, but in human lives.
Yep.
The time is up. Action is required now. And that is why the nations of the Blue Pacific continent are leading a global initiative to bring climate change to the International Court of Justice, the only principal UN organ that has not yet been given an opportunity to weigh in on the climate crisis.
That was Vanuatu's President Nikanike Vurubaravu. This is Democracy Now! Here in New York, thousands of people marched through the streets Friday to demand urgent action on the climate crisis as world leaders wrapped up the UN General Assembly. It was one of 450 climate strike demonstrations held worldwide by the youth-led climate movement Fridays for Future. This is Namante Ninkimo, an indigenous activist from Ecuador's Amazon region, winner of the 2020 Goldman Environmental Prize.
As female defenders living in the community, we come to make visible our struggle because it's very important. People out there, such as in New York, understand our struggle.
It is.
Our need to defend ourselves. Our forest is our home and we love and respect it. Also, we contribute life to the world, air.
Authorities in Colorado have released shocking video of a train crashing into a parked police car.
Can't show
where
this.
A handcuffed woman was sitting inside alone. The incident occurred in Platteville, Colorado, September 16th. Police had arrested 20-year-old Ureni Rios Gonzalez after a traffic stop. After officers drew a gun on her and placed her in handcuffs, they put her in a patrol car parked on the train tracks. This police video released Friday, and a train can be heard blasting its horn before crashing into the car.
What's going on?
Oh God, I don't even know if I can fucking watch this, you know, chat. I genuinely don't know. I don't want to fucking watch this shit.
Broken ribs, a fractured sternum, and back and head injuries. The lawyer told the Denver Post, quote, "She saw it coming and could hear the horn. She was trying to get the police officers' attention, screaming at them. She tried unlocking the door. She had her hands cuffed behind her back and was frantically trying to unlock the door."
I think she did die, yeah.
The Union is urging the Biden administration.
Fucking absolutely disgusting. You know, absolutely fucking destroy the institution of police. Oh, she lived! Well, I mean, it's good that she lived, but fucking hell, still, like, imagine, like, that woman, she's never gonna be able to go outside again. Do you know what I mean? Like, how could you ever ever, ever, ever live a fulfilling life in this world after something like that at the hands of people who are supposedly supposed to protect you. This is from the same state where police fired at an unarmed suspect with a crowd of people behind him, hitting 6 other people. Right, yeah. Just, you know, it's almost like the police don't care that they make mistakes. It's not to do with training. It's not to do with funding. Well, it is to do with funding, to be honest. But fundamentally, it's not to do with, you know, anything other than the fact that when you give people in society a certain amount of power and authority over other people, that they abuse that power and authority. Especially when they have qualified immunity. They often laugh when they violate people. These people are bullies. That Dang Phil has an incredible series on cops about this very thing. That Dang, I don't think I've ever heard of That Dang Phil. I've heard of That Dang Dad. What kind of absolute idiot parks their car on the train tracks? I don't think you've understood the news story there, Roll of the D. That's not what's happened. The police put her in a squad car, in a police car, and left that car on the train tracks so that the train would hit her. That's what's happened. I know that we didn't play the full story because it was a bit traumatic, right? But that's what happened. It's not that someone accidentally parked on the train tracks and that's what's happened. It's that the police put a woman in handcuffs in a car and then put that car on the train tracks. She's a TSA agent as well, so like the cops should be on her side. Fucking hell. That's ridiculous. Yeah, fully cartoon twirling mustache villains. Absolutely. Yeah, cops are literally only on the side of Capitol, right? Only. Yeah, they tried to murder that woman. Can you say that? I think it's fair to say that, yeah. The cop's gonna whine about being cancelled now. Oh, yeah, absolutely. The metropolitan liberal elite has cancelled me for tying a woman to a train track.
To close the privately run Torrance County detention facility in New Mexico, where about 160 immigrants are being held in what the ACLU calls atrocious conditions.
Wow! That's weird, chat. It's almost like Biden has done nothing about the detention centers that he actually said Trump was bad for doing. That's interesting. That's so... What? That's... What? That's so weird.
A 23-year-old asylum seeker from Brazil died by suicide at Torrance last month. The detention center is run by the company Core Civic, formerly the Corrections.
Detention facilities run by private companies. It's been 2 years. The midterms are coming up. Actually. Oh, he's not Trump though, so it's chill. Yeah, and you can push him left. Actually. Yeah. Yeah, and if you say that he should use some of the executive orders that presidents can use, and Trump did multiple of them, in order to fast-track certain laws into being codified, because you hold the highest office of the land, if you say that he should be doing those things, and you say that he should be using his power to actually, you know, change things in the US, the country of which he holds the highest office in government, then you're an idiot and you don't understand how American politics works. Apparently.
Corporation of America. And a property management partly owned by Donald Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner.
He can't do it. He can't. He's just a small bean. He's just a small bean, and he can't do that. And you're wrong about American politics, and you need to educate yourself.
Has agreed to pay at least $3.25 million to the state of...
That was sarcasm, by the way, in case you couldn't tell.
Maryland, and to reimburse tens of thousands of tenants. And Baltimore, Maryland's Attorney General Brian Frosch accused the company...
I'm so sick of being told I don't get it when I complain about how the Dems don't fucking do anything. The only time that you should... be okay with being told that you don't get it is if that person is then going to follow that up with, you don't get it. The Democrats don't actually care about people in America. All they care about is being in office and making money for the people who lobby them and donate to their party, and, you know, because they sell weapons that they're making wars for, etc., etc., etc. You know? The two parties in the US is only the illusion of choice. Nothing different ever happens. That's correct. It is absolutely the illusion of choice. Democrats are doing their job, keeping us from doing ours. Right. That's it. Oh, God.
Westminster management of deceiving and cheating tenants and subjecting them to miserable living conditions. And
wow,
those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!
And
the Peace Report. When we come back...
We did it! Oh my God, chat, we actually did it. Can you believe it? We got through the news. It was terrible. It was horrible. Some of it was incredibly terrifying. But we're back. Here we are. We did it. It was a tough news. We did it, and we're all here together. And we're all fine, hopefully. Hopefully no one is too upset by the news. But we made it, chat. We learned about what's going on in the world, and we're okay. Hey, Goblin, what's going on? Can I get a shout out for Shafiq? Yeah, thank you, Amy. Thanks, Amy. Thank you, Amy, for giving us the unbiased news. Impartial, actual, good, impartial news. Thank you very much. Phenomenal. Right. What have I got next for you? Well... it's a leftist video essay. Can you believe it, chat? Oh my God. DJ Muel is going to watch a leftist video essay that is... oh, good God. Dr. Farge. Thank you so much for the 14 months of subscribing to this channel. I appreciate that. Now, I'm not about to say what I'm about to say that I'm not grateful for what you've just done. I'm extremely grateful for you subscribing on Twitch. I appreciate all subscriptions, bits, and all that, right? But what I would ask you to consider is if you do want to support me financially, if you're financially capable to do that, please consider subscribing off Twitch via the !sub off Twitch command. It not only means that I actually receive more of the money that you spend on supporting me, as some people don't know, Twitch takes a 50% split from subs, and the split is even lower or higher, but it's still not that good on bits. However, Twitch is a terrible platform, and I don't like to support it, even though I am streaming on it. I do want it to change, and in order to make it change, I'm trying to encourage people to subscribe off the platform, and I'm trying to encourage more streamers to do that. There's lots of horrible fucking things that Twitch is doing right now. I don't even need to say some of them because it's so popular. Everybody knows what's going on. Pedos and everything. It's ridiculous. Have you seen it? Matt Gaetz is streaming on here now. Why is that allowed? Well, it's because it makes Twitch money. But there's the command. So if you would want to subscribe off Twitch, please do consider doing that. If not, please consider retweeting the Go Live tweet, which I have here somewhere. Where have I done it? Where's the Twitch? Do you know what? I don't know why I'm looking at my fucking notifications. That's a silly... Thank you, Shafiq, you smart fucking person. Good God. Why was I... Why was I trying to look through my fucking notifications that are exploding? Because of course they are. Yes, please consider retweeting the Go Live tweet. That will get more eyes on the stream and potentially more people who may be more financially capable to support the stream. The reason that I asked you to support the stream is because, as it says in the dono bar, these are actually my living costs. It's what I need to survive. I've not been streaming for most of the month. I'm very, very grateful to have about 300 odd quid, nearly 400 quid donated to the stream. I really appreciate that, but I really could do with a bit more. So please consider doing that. Now, after that spiel, we're going to watch a video about a type of people, oh my goodness, I didn't think that political ideology could get worse. I didn't think that people could be this silly, this ridiculous. I don't think that anyone really predicted that this would ever be a thing. But we're going to be watching NonCompete's video. Friend of the channel, friend of mine, American Johnson. He is doing he's done a video with Luna, I think. I think Luna I think probably helped him with this video. I'm not sure. It might just be EJ that's done it. I'm not entirely sure. They do a lot of work together. They do a lot of work separately. But please go and support EJ. Play the video alongside the stream in a muted tab. Give him a like. Give him a sub. An absolutely phenomenal comrade. And we are going to be taking a look at EJ's video on MAGA Communism. Now, I'm not going to explain what it is, because I think EJ is going to do a phenomenal job of that. Oh, hang on. I'm just trying to get the scene ready, folks. Bear with me. $27 is in the chat. How are you doing, David? Welcome in, pal. Please go and show some love to David, as he says, as I say, as he says, as I say when I'm in his chat, when he's in my chat, when I'm in his chat, when he's in my chat. If you like my politics, you'll love his. Please go and give him a follow. Shafiq's giving him a little shout out up there. So, yeah. Did you like that? It was good, that, wasn't it? A little bit. Did a little bit for you there. The Pat Socks and the Hasballs would have you thinking Luna did because they despise women that much. Yes, correct. That's right. MAGA communism has been a dark comedy itself. It really has. That's correct. MAGA with communist characteristics. I think that's what it is. Yeah. Recursive shoutouts. Yeah. Venn diagram of $27 and djmuel approaching circlehood. It's correct. It's absolutely right. Anyway, the content warning for this one is pretty much just like, you know, fascism. Like, we're going to be talking about fascists. These are dangerous people, as you can see here in the disclaimer from the video. Zoom. Here we are in the correct scene. Let's tighten it all that up a little bit, make that look nice, and we're ready. We're getting it done. I'm going to spam the video again in the chat because it has been lost a little bit. So there you go. If you're not sure of it, give it a click. Please support the leftist content creators that we love. Please go and show some love to EJ. Follow his channel. Give him a like. Have the video playing in a muted tab alongside the stream, because we will be able to support our friends with that. Now, that tune ended perfectly. Fucking perfectly. Because we're about to start this segment. Let's fucking go.
Warning. This video is going to be pretty rough. I'm going to be talking about some really lousy people, so content warning for bigotry, fascism, and just general skeeziness. Also, the people I'm going to be talking about
bunnies!
Are famous for targeted harassment.
Oh my god, it's bunnies.
Destructive tactics against their enemies, so I'm begging you, please do not harass anyone that I mention in this video, really.
So you heard that, chat. There's absolutely no point in engaging with any of these people. They will try to convert you to MAGA communism. And of course, you're all very smart, so you're not going to be receptive to that. And as a result, they will probably try to dox you and shit like that. So do not engage with people like that. Do not try to enter into conversations with them. They're Nazis. It's the same as trying to talk to Nazis. You're not going to fucking get anywhere, right?
Please. Hello and welcome to the ancient and beautiful Temple of Literature, one of my favorite places in Hanoi, formerly the National University of Vietnam. The Temple of Literature is now a public shrine to knowledge, education, and wisdom. And if you
They've been pretty prolific over the last few weeks, Fudge, yeah.
Highly recommend you check out my partner Luna's channel, Luna Oi. She gives a full tour of this amazing place.
Oh, cool.
Really is just gorgeous. So go check that out. I'll put a link in the description if you're interested. But the reason that I'm here today is I thought that this would be a fitting setting for today's topic.
You are
the search for truth.
Very smart.
In the face of distorted facts, false narratives, and outright lies. Specifically, we'll be discussing the lies of a group of grifters who call themselves American Patriot Socialists and who drape themselves in American flags.
I've never seen anything more absurd than this image. You know, the giant fucking Lincoln head in the background that is supposed to be, it's supposed to be a tribute to Lenin's head at one of the first ever Communist Party of America. Lots of people haven't seen this. And this is very funny. I'm well aware of this, unfortunately. But here we go. So yeah, and you know, the American flag, which is the flag of a state, actually it's the flag of 50 states, with the flag of the USSR, I believe, and One Int Wizard, thank you so much for the Prime gaming sub. You know, it's just I just honestly, you know what I mean? Really glad I wasn't eating. Just like the flag of the USSR, just like the, you know, generic communist flag, you know, communism famously an ideology that desires no states, and just holding hands with someone wearing with a flag that represents states. So anyway, let's continue.
Hang out with TERFs.
This transgender ideology is pure idealism. It says, if I feel something, it's true. We've all got our own reality.
Oh, hang on. I already made a video thoroughly debunking this horseshit abortion and Marxist philosophy. Link in the description. Okay, so there you go. EJ is, you know, making a lot of stuff. You know? Thank you very much for the follow. Yeah, making both Lincoln and Lenin roll in their graves simultaneously. That's right. I don't know who this TERF is, by the way. I don't know. Just your garden variety TERF. Is it Jyoti Breyer? Is that this person's name? Okay, right. But, you know, sat there just chatting with fucking Caleb Maupin, you know. One Int Wizard said, I wish I had, like, any money to donate. Do not worry about it, One Int Wizard. I really appreciate the Prime sub regardless. The Prime sub, you're actually not giving as much money as you would with a normal sub to twitch.tv. So don't worry about it. Not a problem. Absolutely not a problem. I appreciate the Prime sub a lot. Oh, she is / was the head of the Communist Party of the UK. Right, okay. I'm with you. I did not know.
And every once in a while, get caught driving young women into poverty, forcing them into a cult, and then sexually abusing them.
Yeah, if you didn't know this about Caleb Maupin, it has come out that indeed another man wearing a fedora is a fan of abusing women, sexually abusing them. So that's horrible.
It's going to be a wild ride, so buckle in. I don't want to talk about this shit, but I think things are coming to a head, and it's time we address these people. Look at the dragonfly on my shoulder. Hello.
That is really cool.
We've been blessed by a dragonfly.
They disbanded the CPI over that, right? Yes, they did. They did. The Communist Party. I don't know what the I stands for. Anyway, hello Middle-earth Marxists. Sorry, I saw you in the chat earlier before. Hope you're good. The Communist Party I don't know what the I stands for, but like, yeah, that's gone now because Caleb Maupin enjoyed a naughty red bottom as well as having a red face. Centre for Political Innovation, that's right. Yeah, sorry, it wasn't actually the Communist Party of anything. Yeah.
I guess he's just going to hang out there. Okay, that's fine with me. So the American Patriot Socialists worship crypto-fascist figures like Lyndon LaRouche and Nick Land.
This is kind of what defines the nature of
It's our boy Has. Here he is. Two holes Has.
Patriotism, intellectually and theoretically.
Does everybody know about Has? One, if you know who Has is, this man right here with the beard, who is not me. Two, if you don't. Let's see those in the chat. Give us a 1 if you know who Has is. A 2 if you don't. I'd be surprised if it's... Okay, there's a 2 already. There's 1, 2 there. Okay, a couple more 2s. That's good. A lot of people in my community... Well, some people in my community... touching enough grass to not know who Has is. Very, very good. It's piss! So, you know... Has... is infamous for this clip. So let's have a little look at this clip here. Let's see if I can get this up. Unfortunately, it's on Reddit. I wonder if it's actually going to let me play it. Yeah, here we go. So let's take a little quick look at this. This is one of Has's favorite big moments. He went on a dating stream with this streamer here. Don't know who she is. But is it Cutiebot? Is that who it is? Is that who this person is? So he went on a dating stream, which is where like this streamer here would go and would invite people to come on and have like a you know, pseudo kind of date thing on Twitch, which I think is actually a pretty impressive bit of content, to be honest. But let's just see what happens with Has and Cutie Bot.
How many holes does a woman have?
Hang on.
Have from the waist down?
2.
Okay, so what are those holes used for? It's just a general, like, an easy, like, biological question. What are those 2 holes used for?
Poop and pee?
Poop and pee. And then where's the sex one, dude?
The pee one.
Oh my god.
So that's that.
Oh my god. That's
What's
so
the joke?
Cute. That's so fucking cute, dude. It's like, dude,
2.
You really never had a woman like.
What is going on? What, you pee from your butt?
Oh, that's very funny, but unfortunately Has is extremely dangerous. Anyway, you know, I'm not gonna, you know, if someone is, you know, like generally an innocent person, doesn't really like do anything horrible to people or whatever, right? Then I understand. Then it's fine if you don't know how many holes someone, you know, with a vagina would actually have involved in the vagina. That's fine. If you don't actually know, then, you know, I'm more than willing to help you get educated on that. It's quite simple, actually. There's lots of diagrams you can find on the internet to explain that. However, with Has being a piece of shit and generally being extremely problematic in many ways, extremely bigoted, I would probably say that it's fine to laugh at him for that. Because if you're out here being the big man who knows everything about men and women and sex, and you've had lots of sex, and that's the you know, the amount of measuring that it takes to be you know, a man is how much sex you've had, and you don't know how many holes a woman has. Well, not even necessarily a woman, maybe a trans man as well. Then I think that's very funny.
I gave it to you, right? You don't have to talk about LaRouche and Dugan and, you know, Nick Land. I mean, those people all influenced me.
And if you aren't familiar with those names, count yourself lucky. Lyndon LaRouche was a fascist who did hideous mind control experiments
things
under the alias Lynn Mark.
So let's pause and read. LaRouche proclaimed himself not just a paradigm-breaking thinker of economics, but also a psychoanalysis, developing a conspiracy that the Tavistock Institute was brainwashing Americans. This necessitated counter-brainwashing within the organization, which was really just LaRouche imposing his own brainwashing. Little story that I learned about this, that Famous Horse talks about on his shows. $27 says, is he what, 30? Now listen, my partner laughed a lot when she found out that Vorsh was actually 28 and not 44 years old. And in fact, many of these debate bros and Nazbols do for some reason look a lot older than they actually are. And I don't know why that is. So I wouldn't assume that Haz is 30. Just because of what he looks like. There's every chance that he could be 19 years old. So, I don't know. I actually don't know. Hate ages you like a motherfucker. It really does. Jackson Hickles 22. I'm consistently surprised. I'm genuinely consistently surprised. I feel like Famous Horse said that again. I feel like he said that in the stream that I was in the other night. Oh, I'm consistently surprised. He looks about 35 years old. He looks older than me. And I've got a beard and I'm bald. How is that possible? Anyway, whatever. Morpin does like surrounding himself with teenagers. Well, yeah. That's an unfortunate fact. I thought Ian was in his late 30s. You know, it's not good to guess the age of debate bros, you know. Yeah.
Marcus, really nasty stuff.
I'm not 28, I'm 32. I'm almost 33.
There's a lot more to LaRouche and his devious...
So anyway, what I was talking about Famous Horse. So in Famous Horse's stream, he told me this thing, right? And he told his whole chat this thing, and this is extremely interesting. And it's really fucked up, actually. It's extremely anti-Semitic, and what they did is they basically hate crimed a guy to death. This Jewish guy who went to like a LaRouche meeting or something, and they were all talking about how like Jews are really bad and they control everything and blah, 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 this, that, and the other. And he stood up and he went, hang on a minute, I'm Jewish, and that's not true. And then what happened is they basically psyoped him into thinking he was crazy. And they did it so much, they brainwashed him so much that he actually like lost his mind and tried to like escape Germany, tried to move out of Germany and go back to his parents in America or Britain or something like that. And because of that, because they were scared that he was gonna expose them, they murdered him. And it's fucked. It's extremely fucked. That's what the LaRouche sort of, you know, gang did. It's so fucked.
Ideology, which started sort of leftist, but has really gone far right through his life. He's gone now. We still got the dragonfly. Oh, there he goes. LaRouche.
And if you're going to Google that, content warning for extremely traumatic shit. Because some of the, like, the you know, the you know, like the transcripts of like the phone calls he made to his mum and stuff, very traumatic. So just be prepared for that.
Is an ugly dude, fortunately no longer with us. As for Nick Land, he is another neo-fascist. He's a guy who developed much of the quote-unquote dark enlightenment philosophy, which underpins the alt-right movement and which seeks to accelerate capitalism towards...
Pause and read for some overt bigotry. Oh boy, not great. If there was some way to show the most annoying 30% of white people, we'd be living in paradise. Wait, what the fuck? What's that mean? What's the shower thing? This is an alt-right style Holocaust joke. Oh god, what the fuck? That fucking sucks. Washington, D.C., an angry, belligerent man confronted the participants of the People Convoy, calling them fascists and racist. Right, so basically this person is saying, wow, I wish that we could Holocaust these people. That's fucked. Land claims he's not a fascist, like nearly all modern fascists, which is kind of the point of this video. Right, exactly, yeah.
fascism. Land believes some really weird shit. For instance, that
right, okay,
races...
it's actually the Holocaust in Hebrew, right? Claim that white supremacy is entirely responsible for differences in social outcomes between white and black Americans is the whole of CRT. Anything more is just grift, sophistry, and content padding. I don't even understand. This isn't even worded that well. This isn't even worded that well. This is like the claim that white supremacy is entirely responsible for differences in social outcomes between white and black Americans is the whole of CRT. I think that is not... I think that is true, and that's fine. But, like, anything more is just a grift. I don't understand. Stubborn white-black differences prove the more hysterically white supremacy needs to be attacked. Some new horizon of insanity being opened. I don't even understand. That's not even worded coherently. I can't make head or tail of that. It seems like he's saying that CRT, that's what CRT is. But I think that is what CRT is, and that's not a problem because that's correct. I don't understand what my brain is not working correctly over here. Like, this is what happens. This is what happens when you read Nazi shit.
Should be separated under the belief that elites will enhance their IQs by associating only with each other.
What if the gay, transed out clown show stage of civilization is just better? Well, calling it all like a clown show.
Alexander Dugin is another figure that the AMPAT socks are...
We've spoken about Dugin before. When I first learned about the initial Nazbol party, we learned about that. There's a whole video that I've got about that on my YouTube channel. You can go and check that out. It's literally me learning what Nazbols are in real time, right?
Obsessed with. He's a Russian...
You could go and check that out on my YouTube if you want. Maybe don't do it straight away. But if you actually want to have a look at me learning what Nazbols are in real time, you can have a look at that. And I think it's quite funny, possibly, maybe. Not entirely sure.
An ultranationalist who was a staunch anti-communist in the 1980s Soviet...
Here's Jackson Hinkle saying, Alexander Dugin, the most misunderstood man in the world. No, I don't think he is, actually. Jackson Hinkle, I don't think he is misunderstood. I think that most people very much understand his very clear and concise message, which is that minorities should not be involved in society, but communism is fine. I think everybody understands that quite clearly. If you listen to anything that Alexander Dugin says, he says that quite blatantly.
Union and founder of the National Bolshevik Party, so, like, literally... one of the OG...
He's the most misunderstood man in the world. He says the unsayable.
Now, has attempted some pretty impressive rhetorical backflips to make it sound like Dugin's fascism...
Let's have a look at what Alexander Dugin says here. In practice, the urgent problems of assumption of power and establishing economic forced the fascist leaders, including Mussolini, Hitler, Franco, as well as Salazar, to forge alliances with conservatives, national capitalists, big owners, and corporation heads. The fanatic anti-communism of Hitler, warmed up by the German capitalists, cost Germany the defeat in its war with the USSR. So, it wasn't the fact that the supply lines were stretched and they were fighting a war on two fronts and all these things that we actually know, and the genuine, like, you know, fanatical belief in communism that the Red Army had in defeating fascism. It was nothing to do with those facts that we actually know. It was just because Hitler wasn't communist enough. That's why they lost. That's why they lost, actually.
Is the real socialism.
The only reason Dugin is trying to search for some authentic, ideal kernel within fascism against its actual historical manifestation is because, in his view, at this time, to quote, there are, in the 20th century, only 3 ideologies that have managed to demonstrate that their principles are realistic in terms of their political implementation: liberalism, communism, and fascism. Others are absent and are impossible. In Russia, we have passed the 2 ideological stages, communist and liberal.
So what does Dugin think that the Tsarist monarchy was? Does he think that was liberalism? Does he think that is... Does he not think that that's fascism? Because that's what it was. That's actually what it was.
what remains is fascism. So he's just using the word fascism to describe something that's neither the Soviet version of communism nor Western liberalism. And if you actually...
Yes, I love it. I love it when people reduce what fascism actually is and how it can be applied. I think that that's very smart and good.
Read the text, that word has nothing to do with its actual, real, historical reality. Something he pretty much acknowledges even in that piece. Dugin is using this word as a stand-in for the ideal of a socialism that, to quote, will be more rural than proletarian, more communal than cooperative, than administrative, more regionalistic than centralistic. All of these are required.
So no, hang on a minute. What he's doing there is he's trying to co-opt things like, he's trying to co-opt actual like communism, and these are sort of like anarchist ideas as well. These are sort of like anarcho-communist ideas that we shouldn't be ruled by like a central state, and that we should sort of govern ourselves in our immediate communities. So he's trying to co-opt anarcho-communist ideas here as well.
Requirements of Russian national specificity, which will find its expression in the doctrine and not only in practice.
Of course, this isn't new.
Yeah, literally, Ancom Psychom, right? That's exactly what it is.
In fact, this is exactly how Michael Parenti defines fascism in his outstanding book, Black Shirts and Reds. Parenti notes that the essential defining characteristic of fascism is the staging of a pseudo-revolution, which mimics many of the trappings and aesthetics of socialist revolution without actually threatening capitalism. Mussolini and Hitler both tried to...
Maybe don't call it fascism if it's not fascism and you think fascism is a bad thing. It's so funny that they're literally just like, no, it's not fascism. He's just saying it's fascism because that's... You can understand it better that way. He's just saying it's fascism because then you'll not confuse it with other things. But you should confuse it with other things because it's not actually fascism. What is he trying to say?
Appeal to the working class by using popular socialist symbols and language. As Parenti writes, the Nazi Party's full name was the National Socialist German Workers' Party, a left-sounding name. Both the Italian fascists and the Nazis made a conscious effort to steal the left's thunder.
It literally, fascism does this time and time again. It does it so much nowadays as well. It's so obvious nowadays because more people, I think, are aware of left-wing politics and left-wing ideals. And you can see it so much. And it's like, we want to break free from the state, right? Now, a communist could say that, or a fascist, genuinely, right? And what liberals like to do is they like to say that that means that communists and fascists are the same. And that's why you see a lot of this like big brain centrist fucking takes, right? You know, about like, oh, they're just as bad as each other. The anarchists and the communists are just as bad as the fascists because they say similar things. And it's like, well, no, some of us say things and we mean them. Other people say things and they don't mean them. Right? If there's one thing that they excel at, it's thievery. Exactly right, yeah.
There were mass mobilizations, youth organizations, work brigades, rallies.
You know, time and time again, we use the example of when in Nazi Germany, Hitler was like, every single Aryan family will be awarded a Volkswagen, right? You will get a free Volkswagen, a free car, right? You'll get a free car, you know? And that never happened. It just never happened. They were like, you'll get a Volkswagen so that you can drive it on the brand new Autobahns. And the Autobahns are going to do so good for everybody. All over, you'll be able to get everywhere. It'll be really good. But it just never happened. You know? It's just absolutely absurd. Yeah, National Socialists and Patriotic Socialists. It sounds scarily similar, doesn't it?
These parades, banners, symbols, and slogans. There was much talk about a Nazi revolution that would revitalize society, sweeping away the old order and building the new. Of course, these are all false promises, as Parenti explains. Fascism is a false revolution.
That's right, Shafiq. I think I remember that question as well.
Popular politics and a revolutionary aura without offering a genuine revolutionary class content.
Right.
It propagates a new order while serving the same old moneyed interests.
Yep.
Its leaders are not guilty of confusion, but of deception. That they work hard to mislead the public does not mean that they themselves are misled.
Right, roll of the D,
This is exactly what Haas is doing here, as he presents the obvious fascist ideology of Dugin, and then tries to stuff it into a communism-shaped costume. No, guys, seriously, he's just using the word fascism, but he really means communism. Give me a break. And like, if you look at Dugin's defining characteristics of fascism in his own definition, which insists is really just a stand-in for socialism, you'll see that none of these characteristics, being rural, being communal, being regionalistic, are incompatible with fascism. In fact, these are all principles which fascists constantly push since the beginning.
Yeah, like both of those things could be. This is why Nazbol rhetoric is so dangerous, right? It's because you can hear that and be like, yeah, that sounds good. That sounds like an anarcho-communist society, just like me and Ancom said, right? But it also adheres to a fascist ideology of like, oh, no big states, no big government, right?
The Nazis idolized ruralism. They presented themselves as communal, and they were super regionalistic in how they defined Aryan culture after all. But what's expressly lacking from Dugin's ideology is class character. I mean, Dugin says specifically that his fascism is not proletarian in nature. It's right there on the fucking screen, on Haz's stream. It is not rooted in the working class. It does not have a proletarian nature.
I.e., it's not communism.
This is not Marxism.
Yeah.
Dugin does not call for the elimination of capitalism. He does not call for the uniting of the working class. So in what way is this socialism or communism? It's not. It's just fascism. And Haz is using a lot of cheap rhetorical tricks here to try to rebrand and
I've not heard of that master of the art. If you want to post some examples, that'd be good.
Fascists always do.
Yep.
And this is actually a really pathetic attempt at doing this if you pay any attention to what Haz is actually saying here. It's remarkable that anyone buys this shit at all. And the American Patriot Socialists are enamored with Nick Land and Lyndon LaRouche. You will see them being name-dropped and referenced all over the place if you check out the villainous hive mind of the American Patriot Socialists on Twitter or YouTube. And prominent American Patriot Socialist thought leaders have name-dropped them on many occasions.
Hold up. Diane Saar, independent candidate for the U.S. Senate, New York 2022, is a LaRouche? Oh, damn.
Prominent American Patriot Socialist thought leaders have name-dropped them on many occasions.
I accuse communism and liberalism to be racist.
Pause and read if you're a nerd. Listen, we are nerds. We are actually nerds. Okay, so this is a bit of a rabbit hole, but Hinkle here is nodding along with Dugin the fascist about communism being racist because it is internationalist and seeks a stateless, classless society. What?
Communism and liberalism to be racist.
Ideologically, this echoes Hinkle's avowed fears of globalists. We all know what that word means, don't we, chat? Wanting to homogenize world culture. Homogenize world culture. The word homo is in there as well. Just, you know that big conspiracy theory where it's like the fascists are literally saying that Jews are trying to let immigrants into the country, and they're also trying to control the media to make your kids gay and trans, right? You know? Fascism has literally never sought a stateless society. Yeah, it's that globo homo shit, right? You literally, yeah.
Same time, not biological.
Which is really just a repackage of the Great Replacement, the Great Reset theory, which are both continuations of the anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, going all the way back to the protocols of the Elders of Zion. It's correct. He's right.
Cultural.
He should say it. Make more videos, connected the dots. Okay, yeah.
That universalism is a kind of race.
What does LaRouche, Dugin, Nick Land, and I guess whatever fashion.
Sorry, I just realized how loud that was. Sorry, folks.
Just boogeyman they make up. What do all of these things have in common? Why are Marxists so insecure in Marxism that they feel like every time someone is stepping outside of the bounds of institutional Marxism, there's some secret nefarious, ideal core that is motivating this person that's some kind of secret?
Well, I think probably that's because there is. Just like has been proven with you, buzzing about people like fucking LaRouche and Dugin and shit like that. You know what I mean?
And I'm telling you what I am. I'm telling you where I'm coming from. The thinking spirit.
I mean, of course, you don't need to be secret about it if you're someone like him. However,
our minds, our soul, even, I would say, is striving and longing for a sense of meaning that is worthy of that universal state. What is the universal truth of history? What is the universal truth of being? There you can get Heidegger, who asks the question of being. That's just one variant, right?
So you get all those answers to like these impossible questions that could really only be defined by a subjective experience that you have in your own existence of the world, your own brain, how your mind works and stuff like that. Just go to Heidegger. Just get it from him. Did he join the Nazis? Is that who he is? Yeah, I thought I recognized the name. Incredible, right? Incredible.
What is the truth of universal history and its striving?
Fascism could look like communism if you talk about capitalists or the bourgeoisie with a couple extra parentheses and hook nose. Yeah, I don't know if that's like... Communism can look a bit like fascism. The other way around, etc. Interchangeable. You know what I mean, yeah. Yeah, he's just there like, what's the universal truth of existence? Heidegger knew it. There you go. That guy that joined the Nazis. There you go.
That's how Kojève reconciled Hegel and Heidegger, because that's Hegel, the teleology of history, right? That's what Hegel's dealing with. The development...
Yeah, I agree, Odnon. Yeah, his rhetoric is very much like sermons. He's like a preacher rather than someone discussing ideology or anything like that. I agree. Yeah. Very transparent. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Of spirit. Where does that...
It does sound like Peterson's word salad. Yeah.
Are extremely ideologically insecure, so they have to take everything outside of their institutional politics to some absurd extreme.
Yeah, you're right, Dimitri. Thank you. Thank you all. That is solid. Appreciate you.
What does that mean? Marxists that are suspicious of people who exhibit fascist tendencies have to take things to the extreme all the time. Okay.
In this universal state.
Did I miss the part where he pronounces Aristotle like Chipotle because he's never heard the name? No, I didn't know that. Oh my god. Hey Morty, what's going on? This video brought a whole shit ton of hate watchers to the non-compete stream the other night. It was almost funny how weak their trolling was. Yeah, like, I imagine people who subscribe to this very paper-thin fascist ideology are very weak at trolling. It is really embarrassing, generally speaking. Do you know what I mean?
We are inherently disposed. We are inherently longing for an equally universal sense of meaning.
It's gone quiet again.
That permeates across...
Start shouting again, dude.
The whole of history.
The whole?
We want an explanation for what history was. Now people say, well, Haas, what about Marxism, which describes the class struggle? We have achieved the end of history. We are living in a post-historical world.
What? I can't listen to this guy, man.
But the class struggle is an abstraction. It's not a determinate, like, meta-historical narrative underpinning the whole of history. It's not an ontological understanding. It's not
post-history. There's going to be no more history. There's going to be no more history after now. Like, how can you listen to this fucker and not just lose brain cells? Like, just really important information just being pushed out of your brain. No more stuff. No more good information in there at all.
Not encompassing in its universality in terms of the universal state. It belongs to... The class struggle doesn't really give us any meaning. See...
What? Meaning pertaining to what? Like, it gives us lots of meaning. The class struggle actually, like, completely, encapsulates everything about Marxism and communism and everything. Like, everybody understands that, like, eventually class struggle will lead to revolution because of the, the material conditions that are put on people because of the dying capitalism, right? Because of dying capitalism. Like, the more and more it gets, more and more it falls apart, the worse and worse it'll get for people in the working class. And so that class struggle will eventually become a revolution, which is extremely meaningful because it will transform our society into one that is based on love and compassion rather than one that's based on profit. Like, absolutely fucking brainwormed. Someone fed a bunch of bullshit into a neural network and called it Has. I think he does wear tank tops every day. I think he does. Hey, Purple Apple, how's it going? Welcome in. Welcome in.
All history being a history of
Wasagan.
struggle doesn't make history meaningful. It doesn't. So I'll begin with LaRouche. LaRouche,
he does call himself the Khan, yeah,
of the oligarchic principle and the Republican principle. And
Hatsune Miku for politics.
This takes the form of expression and thought of Aristotle versus Plato for LaRouche. And these two tendencies have been struggling with...
I mean, yeah, like, so, he really thinks he's intelligent. Like, again, let's talk about this because this is something that I think people really need to be aware of. And that is that, like, in toxic masculinity, there is a lot... Did he say Aristotle? Sorry, I got distracted. Let's go back. Let's go back.
LaRouche and thought of Aristotle.
He does. He says it like Chipotle. That's so funny. Aristotle. What the fuck? I didn't actually think that was real. I thought that was something that Huskadoo made up. Not that Huskadoo makes things up on the regular, but I just thought it was like a funny joke. I didn't actually think he said it like that.
This takes the form of expression and thought of Aristotle.
He said it like Chipotle. Oh, man. Okay. All right, dude. Anyway, so, like, where was I with that? Right, so, yeah, it's about what Emmy said, right? About what Emmy said. This is a thing that people really need to understand. And, we're not immune from it on our section of the left. We're not immune from it. And we have to remember this all the time. And that is that, it's not just, this isn't just a toxic masculinity thing. It's very much based in toxic masculinity. But, people of all genders are not immune to it, right? And that is that there's many hierarchies in this world, right? That we try and maintain in society because we think that they're important and we think that they mean things, but they're not. They're just an excuse for people to, abuse their power. And so this hierarchy that I want to talk about is the intelligence hierarchy, right? Now, intelligence is something that's not really spoken about that much, but generally speaking, trying to measure intelligence is farcical because you can have people who are extremely intelligent in different ways. For a start, you can have people who are intelligent and they have more intelligence in certain subjects, and then you have people who are also intelligent in other subjects. You have people who are who just don't value learning things and don't value education. So, there's the whole subjective idea that maybe someone doesn't want to educate themselves or anything like that. So intelligence in general, trying to measure it, is farcical. This is why IQ is so bad, right? This is why IQ, things like testing and shit like that, it's actually not fair, like, generally speaking, the idea of intelligence. Now, I'm not saying that no one should be educated in stuff, because people should be educated in stuff. That's how it is. There should be some absolutely, certain things that people absolutely need to be told and educated, right? That's how we should sort of form the basis of education in society and stuff, right? And what toxic masculinity does, and especially kind of what you see in, like, like, people got really surprised when nerds were, like, misogynistic. People were like, whoa, hang on a minute, why are these, like, nerds who are, like, not in the they're not in the power structure of toxic masculinity, they're nowhere near the top of that, how could they be misogynistic? Oh, well, actually, It's because their power structure is intelligence. They think that because they know lots of stuff, that means they're more clever or more powerful than other people, right? And so they use that to, I guess, what's the word? Where you like fucking... They use that to basically solidify their place in the hierarchy and their place in society within sort of toxic masculinity, right? So it's like every single like aspect of thinking that you know more stuff is bad. You'll hear so many stories of people that go, it's intellectual dominance, that's what it is. It's where you will see like a professor at a university, a professor in politics who has read Marx, they've read Engels, they've read Fanon, they've read fucking Kropotkin, but they've also read the capitalist thinkers, they've read the libertarian thinkers, they've read, you know, they've read Ayn Rand, they've read the guy that did, you know, Fukuyama and shit like that, and all these like, you know, thinkers of every single ideology, they've read them all, but then they'll come out a conservative. And it's kind of like, well, okay, so that means that the amount of stuff that you've read doesn't actually mean that you'd become a communist. It doesn't mean that. Because there are things like unreliable narratives. There are things like, oh, well, if you're... Ayn Rand is Ayn Rand. Whatever, who cares? She's a fucking dickhead. And she's dead. Anyway. This idea that, like, you've read loads and loads and loads and loads of books... you know, will mean that you like fundamentally come to the conclusion that anarchism and communism is good. That's not true, because there are so many people with bad, unreliable narratives who are writing the books that like oppose these things, and also write, you know, exposing yourself to in the media, and also the power structures. Like if you are a professor of politics, then, you know, you might be living not a bourgeoisie lifestyle, but a middle-class lifestyle where you know, you're very comfortable, and so you don't really go outside of your own conservative echo chamber in terms of, you know, people that you speak to, but you will actually read Marx, and you'll absorb all these ideas, but you'll still be completely fucking absorbed in your conservative ideology, right? So I think everybody in the chat is understanding this, right? I'm just skimming through chat messages. Yeah, smart means you can act like an asshole shit, people. Yeah, it's so bad. Like, nobody should be, you know, having a go at people because they don't know certain things, right? This is why I said, when we were laughing at Has Two Holes comment, I said, actually, it wouldn't be good to laugh at Has if he was just like a nice person, but he's a piece of shit, so that makes it okay, right? So, that whole thing is where this guy is at, and it's where a lot of these guys are at. You know?
Hi,
RJ,
Muel.
thank you so much for the £20 dono. Thank you for supporting the stream. Thank you for subbing off Twitch. And thank you for being RJ. I've missed you. I hope you're having a good time. Hope you're having a good day. Not seen you in a long time. So that's where we're at with people like this, being like, oh, I know more stuff about you, about this stuff, so I'm the smartest boy, I'm the biggest boy, etc., 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 right? You know, they're like, I have the biggest brains, so I can never be wrong. I cannot learn any more stuff, and no one has anything else to show me or offer me because I'm the smartest boy, right? And so we have to be, and that's why I said we're not immune to this in our spaces in the left. We have to really, really remember that, right?
Versus Plato for LaRouche. And these two tendencies have been struggling with one another across the whole fabric.
Reminds me a lot of how grammar policing is rooted in supremacy, because what matters is the effort of communicating, not the privileged accuracy. Right, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like, who's to, like, why should we have a go at people for spelling things wrong? Like, who gives a fuck? Like, we actually know what they mean a lot of the time. We know what people mean a lot of the time, right? Or you could just ask them and say, wait, what are you saying there? You know? So, yeah.
Of history. And guess what? LaRouche is right. That pattern is there. That is a very observable pattern, right?
It is social Darwinism. I agree, Master of the Art. Yeah.
The oligarchic tendency
the
versus
sexy.
the kind of Republican or let's call it the principle of the emperor / the republic versus the oligarchy. Yeah, that's a very clear pattern in history. It is.
So just honestly, just every time I listen to him, my brain just tunes out. I'm just like, honestly, I'm gonna lose important information if I listen to this man. Yeah.
Okay. So he's onto something there. Also, with Aristotle versus Plato, he's also onto something very clearly.
Aristotle.
LaRouche.
There he is.
Also, LaRouche has a very coherent
End the lunatic use of the term capitalism as used by Karl Marx and others. That's what Lyndon LaRouche said.
Universal, all-encompassing worldview.
He does have a lot of
It's not
confidence,
nonsense.
doesn't he? Yeah.
It's not schizo nonsense. It's not some cult or whatever where people just believe in it because of
Not cool to say schizo, really. Like, that's just not in that context.
his authority. No, he has a very coherent.
What's this? Lyndon LaRouche said, womanhood is the fellatio of the male mouth in a man who has been brainwashed by the KGB that is sucking penises. Most women are to a large degree homosexual in this society. The relationship between daughter and mother is homosexual. What is happening? What is this? And we wonder why Haz is so confident in his rhetoric, because it's literally just like stuff like this, and he thinks that because he's read a lot of books where there are things like this in it, that's correct, and it's Fellas, is it gay to have kids? Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Said by a man who knows nothing about having his penis sucked. I wonder if Haz would not want his penis sucked, because possibly that would make him gay. I don't know, because that's what this sounds like. I'm not sure.
Worldview.
A lot of the cult leaders of the AMPAT-SOC movement have recently launched the most cringe psyop I've seen on the internet, and that's really saying something, in the form of what they call MAGA Communism.
Here it is, chat.
They're making the case that Marxists should unite with MAGA fascists to overthrow the elite globalists, as they say. And
globalists.
Boy howdy, if you don't hear the anti-Semitic dog whistle, perhaps you should clean out your dog ears. Or maybe you just lived a normal life and you don't spend your time digging through fascist spaces on the internet like I do, in which case I envy you. But anyway, that's definitely an anti-Semitic dog whistle, especially the way it's being used and the concepts it's being used in conjunction with. It's definitely an anti-Semitic dog whistle. That's what they're doing. They're saying socialists should team up with fascists to get rid of the Jews. It's very, very disgusting. Of course, they give themselves just enough plausible deniability to skirt the issue if they're ever pressed on it. But come the fuck on. We all know who they mean when they say elite globalists. I mean, just look.
Sorry, I just left because I was trying to find my chapstick, but I was sure I had it like on the desk, and I'm losing my mind a little bit. I kind of hate having ADHD, chat.
This clip,
kind of hate it.
LA Looks enthusiast Jackson Hinkle tries to defend his incessant use of the term.
Globalism embodies the one world sentiment of, and it actually kind of relates back to this whole patriotic socialism debate. It refers to the idea of like one world centralization of all energy markets, of all national boundaries, erasing national boundaries, erasing peoples, erasing histories. And kind of bringing it all under one Western cohesion. And that's what the West is trying to do. That's what the EU is. That's what NATO is. That's what the World Economic Forum and Davos is. It is kind of a catch-all word for...
What? I'm genuinely like confused here. It's like the UN is globalism. The UN is the Jews. That's what he's trying to say. I don't understand. That polo neck Hinkle looks like an actor in a rip-off Star Trek. Solo. God damn it. Black Bagged says Republicans. What? Republicans give eugenics hope, or at least the target. What are you talking about? What are you on about? What does that mean? Isn't eliminating borders a socialist idea, or am I making that up? It's certainly like an anarchist idea, for sure. I do believe that having a stateless society would be communist, for sure.
You know, all of these sorts of things, whatever you want to call it, there's different...
Trying to justify his usage of globalism because there exist international capitalist entities. Right, exactly, yeah.
Aspects of it.
Globalism, that means different things to different people. That's why right-wingers use it, because they're like, we're going to fight the globalists, even though they're an imperialist. They could be imperialists, they can be capitalists, but they go on Fox News like, we got to fight the globalists, because some people that means shutting down the border. Some people mean, oh, that means we got to be isolationist. Some people mean that mean fighting anti-imperialism. So it kind of give off the impression that you don't want that. Do you want to...
We should probably try eugenics on these people. Get the fuck out of here. You absolutely disgusting fuck. Jesus Christ. You absolute piece of shit. Like, advocating for eugenics is not a leftist position. I don't know if you think you're a leftist. I don't know if you think that you're any kind of anarchist or communist or anything like that. But advocating for any kind of eugenics is extremely, extremely fucked up. Get help.
Respond to that?
Yeah, I don't think it's vague at all. I think that using terms, and you know, a specific term that you could use that rises above capitalism, for example, is techno-feudalism. Now, that's a phrase that is embodied within globalism, and I think is representative.
Hey, Famous Horse, what's going on? Can I get a shout out for Famous Horse, please?
I think that's fair. And it is different than just capitalism. And again, you hear any of these people, any of these leftist intellectuals discuss techno-feudalism, it is encompassing all of the issues that we refer to as globalism. But the average American, the average person, is not going to be able to understand nor resonate with the term techno-feudalism. If you say that we need to fight against techno-feudalism, that in all honesty is more vague and ambiguous to most people in the country than, say, fighting against globalism. Globalism is a far more culturally relevant term than saying techno-feudalism. So I think
Dark Hammer Max says, though, surely calling globalism a dog whistle instead of a catch-all term for no borders policy undermines your own position by using conspiracy rhetoric to attack a rhetoric. I don't know if there's any point in trying to rationalize what these people are doing. Globalism doesn't mean anything. Globalism doesn't mean anything, you know, outside of a dog whistle. It literally doesn't. You know what I mean? All right, Mr. Dank. Appreciate that. Thank you for the lurk. I'll see you in a bit. These guys are just performing Bonapartism. Well, I mean, yeah, it's just extremely fucked. Don't they talk about Napoleon? Don't these fuckers actually love Napoleon? I feel like that's like a legitimate thing that I've heard people talk about these guys saying.
If you want to have high-level conversations that are going to be out of touch for the masses of the country, then sure, refer to it in the very, very, very specific out-of-touch phrases and terms that you want to refer to it in.
So he's talking about like using the word as like, you know, saying capitalism, right? If you were to say capitalism, right, that would be out of touch. It's more in touch with the majority of the people in the country to use a dog whistle, to use a anti-Semitic dog whistle, right? You know?
But it's not going to resonate with anyone. And on my program, I try to resonate with as many people as possible and expose what's really going on with the globalists.
What the F is Hinkson Jackal talking about?
Hinkson Jackal!
You are a Marxist, and your problem is with capitalists and capitalism, then just say that the problem is capitalists and capitalism. What the hell makes you think that the word globalist is going to resonate with the normal people of the USA? Normal people don't talk like that. They don't go around complaining about those.
There is like a a sort of idea that the majority of the US are just like absolutely unhinged fascists. And it can seem that way when you see a lot of news. It can actually seem that way. But it's not true. Like, the majority of the US are working class people. And yes, there are working class fascists. There are working class conservatives, right? But the majority of people would not automatically know what globalism is a dog whistle for. So Jackson Hinkle isn't even actually gonna do much in the way of converting people who may not know what, like, I don't know, like, who may, like, support capitalism. I don't understand. It's genuinely so mind-boggling, this shit. Hey, Levelhead, if you look at Hinkle's aesthetic and don't immediately think this guy is sus as fuck, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, huge cop vibes. I agree. Welcome in.
Those globalist elites, and they don't drop Nazi dog whistles all the time. The only person I've ever heard talk like that in real life is my racist uncle after guzzling a handle of Fireball at Thanksgiving. And notice the rhetorical trickery here. The interviewer, Nick, asks him why he doesn't just talk about capitalism, why he has to use the word globalism. And then Hinkle himself introduces this phrase, techno-feudalism, and then he uses this to deflect from Nick's actual question, which is why he doesn't use the word capitalism, and he does use the word globalism. That was the original question. And it's just a complete dodge of the question. And then, you know, basically Hinkle just argues with himself for a few seconds.
Yeah, I don't think it's vague at all. I think that using terms, and, you know, a specific term that you could use that rises above capitalism, for example, is techno-feudalism. Now,
like, he thinks that globalism is not vague, but techno-feudalism, like, is... Wait, he thinks that capitalism is too vague, but he thinks that techno-feudalism isn't. No jokes like that, Odnon. I know that that's very, 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 very mild, but you know the score. Hey, Comrade Clever Name, what's going on? Welcome in. I think I recognize you from Famous Horses chat. Hope we good. Yeah.
Now, that's a phrase that is embodied within globalism and I think is representative of the term globalism. I think that's fair. And it is different than just capitalism.
If you want to talk about the specific stage of capitalism we're currently in, the prevailing form of capitalism which relies on global imperialism to eradicate indigenous cultures, enforce free market mechanisms, just say neoliberalism. We already have...
Right, there is already a word. Yeah, it's neoliberalism.
Have a fucking word for that. It's a perfectly fine word that doesn't make people think you're a freaking anti-Semite.
Exactly.
On using these fucking dog whistles, unless you're trying to dog whistle. Old Stinkhole even had a nice, cozy chat with great replacement theory advocate Tucker Carlson to trash anti-fascism.
His handlers and his cronies are prepping the CIA, the FBI, Antifa, the IRS, and now Ministry of Truth to attack freedom-loving Americans.
What's the Ministry of Truth? He's doing the fucking, like, woke liberal elite policing. You're not allowed to say any of the words anymore.
And, of course, he managed to squeeze off a nice little anti-Semitic dog whistle while he was there. The Great Reset, you know, the Nazi conspiracy theory about how Jew George Soros and the Jewish World Economic Forum are controlling all the governments of the world along with all the other Jews.
Volodymyr Zelensky, the president...
It is a 1984 reference. That's what I mean, but it doesn't actually exist. There isn't a Ministry of Truth in America. Like, they definitely, like, do a lot of censoring of, like, left-wing messages and stuff, but there certainly isn't, like, a specific Ministry of Truth. The IRS and Antifa, that's right. Antifa, famously, you know, the same as the IRS.
President of Ukraine and Joe Biden are controlled by the same exact people. They're controlled by individuals like George Soros and controlled by people like Klaus Schwab at the World Economic Forum. And they're going to...
This is wild. This guy just says all of this stuff.
...to do whatever they want.
Okay, here's another rabbit hole that's pretty deep. I'm not going to go into it completely. You can do your own research if you want. There is a shitty program called The Great Reset that's been put forth by the World Economic...
Oh, there was a disinformation board. Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah, my bad. Yeah.
Forum. Again, that's the shitty neoliberal organization that I'm not defending. Basically, the Great Reset is just a part
Welcome
of
back, Hell
the
to Pay.
neoliberal agenda for achieving social goals through free market mechanisms. You know, run of the mill.
Amazingly, I had the same expression as Tucker on my face in that bit. That's right. I think most of us did.
Neoliberalism. If you want a better idea of what I'm talking about, I recommend John the Duncan's video on authoritarian neoliberalism. But
John the fucking Duncan, mate. Absolute legend. Yes. I would also recommend John the Duncan. He is a beautiful man.
But anyway, there's nothing good about the Great Reset. It's not cool, but there's nothing that remarkable about it either. It's just yet another shitty neolib think tank white paper. It sucks. I'm not in favor of it. It's capitalist trash. End of story, right? Well, fascists have transformed it into the Great Reset conspiracy theory. And of course, they've turned it into an unhinged anti-Semitic fever dream of Nazi panic and fabrication. In the Great Reset conspiracy theory, Jewish globalist elites are using COVID-19 and other crises to institute a new world order, which includes, wait for it, ending capitalism. That's right. Ending capitalism.
Uh-huh.
That's right. The Great Reset conspiracy theory that Hinkle is pushing is a MAGA fascist doomsday scenario in which Jewish people force communism on the world. It's an
okay, so now I understand why people were saying that actually they don't support the economic fundamentals of communism, because of course if they're pushing this globalist shit, you know, globo homo, all that kind of stuff, Great Reset stuff, then they are actually pushing a capitalist agenda, and that, you know, everybody's terrified that they're going to end capitalism. So I do see why people have been saying that, so that's fair enough. That is fucking fair enough.
Anti-communist conspiracy theory, because MAGATs are anti-communist. The notion of
Eurasian heathen. We've got one. Chat, there's one here. Chat, there's one here. Eurasian heathen says MAGA communism is rising. Even when it's not. It's actually not. And it's actually extremely funny that a lot of you are desperate to bring over these MAGA guys to MAGA communism, and every single one of them thinks that you're fucking idiots. I think that's so funny. You're absolutely, completely divorced from reality. All of the attempts that I've seen of you idiots actually trying to get far-right people to support your also far-right version of communism has failed spectacularly. When they've been on the news, when they've been on Parler, it's not rising. It's not rising because not only do real leftists not support you, but also real fascists don't support you either. It's quite possibly one of the funniest, one of the most funny things that's ever happened. And I advise you, genuinely, to touch some grass and, I don't know, get a therapist. But enjoy your ban. It was fun while it lasted. Goodbye. Anyway. That was funny, wasn't it? That was funny. These people genuinely think that this is a rising ideology. Truth Social's not falling for it. Parler's not falling for it. MAGA communism is getting banned off Twitter and laughed off Gab. There you go. Brilliant.
Allying with MAGATs is fucking ridiculous. And by the way, the Great Reset conspiracy theory is always packaged with references specifically to George Soros and the World Economic Forum.
That's right.
All of these semiotic markers coming together on Tucker Carlson's platform constitutes much more than a mere dog whistle. It's a goddamn blue whale whistle. This is why Nazbol ideology is so...
Yeah, no shagging of dads today. I'm trying to move away from the shagging of dads as the standard insult to ban people. I'm trying to get like a bit more like think on my feet a little bit. You know, just saying like, oh, I cummed in your dad and put my beard in it and got all your dad's cum in my beard. Like, I think that's just lazy. It's getting lazy. Do you know what I mean? So trying to think a bit more on my feet, a little bit, bit more improv, you know?
Wacky and fucked up because they smash together completely conflicting worldviews.
Trying to improve the stream for you. Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to get, you know, it's trying to get a little bit more value for your money. Speaking of which, speaking of, it's that sub off Twitch. Bit of variety. Variety is the spice of life, isn't it? You know?
In the most self-contradictory way possible, in the name of some weird fucking demagogic bullshit.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, the dad shagging is strictly implicit, and it doesn't help that I also fuck their dads. That's correct, yes.
It's cynical grift. These dudes are trotting out some heinous Nazi rhetoric right before everyone's eyes, but they have the mask pulled on just tightly enough that they can tap dance away from anyone who calls them out with a coy little, oh shucks, I don't know what you're talking about. And that's the
right.
game of this. This is why they do what they do. It's also why Nazis and white supremacists like these kinds of figures, because it gives them lulls.
Time to get some of that granddad ass.
Permission to do Nazi shit right out in public in such a way that they
That's
can...
right, I'm not ageist.
It normalizes,
you know?
fascist narratives and softens people up for radicalization to the far right. And it is especially funny to fascists when they manage to rope people into actually falling for this garbage grift of an ideology.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
Look, I shouldn't have to say this. I don't feel like I have to say this because I think...
Jimmy McGill, attorney, you will have noticed when you clicked on my chat to chat that the rules pop up very briefly, but it's quite obvious that you didn't read the rules, because in the rules, it says that I'm well aware that I've got no hair and a beard, and you should probably think of another way to introduce yourself to the chat. So I'm just going to give you a timeout because I don't want to see your face in my chat for about a day. You know, and next time you come in, if you do want to be part of this community, don't make a comment on someone's appearance, because it's incredibly rude. You shouldn't do that to any streamer or anyone you don't know. And I know that the internet is like, you know, there's a screen and a keyboard in the way, and it removes like, you know, any kind of like actual connection that you might feel with an actual human being. But I would advise you to try and retain some humanity when you speak to people on the internet. You know, so just do that, basically.
I think it goes without saying, but I'm not here to defend billionaires and neoliberal think tanks. That's obviously not the point I'm making here. But
Better Call Saul username sus. Why is that sus?
If you've spent any time at all studying contemporary fascism, you will see this connection immediately, even though, like I said before, today's Nazis are very careful to design their rhetoric to give themselves plenty of plausible deniability, which is exactly what Jerkson Hair Gel is doing here. He's
Jerkson Hair Gel. I love what EJ's doing with this.
A little rat hole to crawl through if anyone dares cry out that the emperor wears Nazi clothes.
Mm-hmm.
Pretending to be Marxist enhances the troll. It sets them up for a great feint attack in response to any criticism from the left. They can say, oh, I thought you were communist. Why are you defending George Soros? He's a billionaire. Why are you defending a neoliberal organization like the World Economic Forum? We weren't born yesterday. We know what it means when you choose to single out that specific billionaire alongside that specific organization, claiming that they control the governments of the world.
Some weirdos in the community, although that sums up pretty much every fandom. It's a good show, but people who obsess over it make their internet persona based on it. Generally, they're the bad kind of fan. I don't think that that's a reason to think that someone's sus. I think that just that in general is fine. Don't think we do anyone any favors by assuming that just because they like a particular thing that they're a bad person. Unless that particular thing is Nazism. Yeah, it showed the location at the start of the video. And welcome in. Yeah, Vietnam Temple of Literature, apparently, according to Hell to Pay. Yeah, there you go, divided. And hello, Lost Futures. How are you doing? Welcome in.
Along with the global elites. I mean, especially when you're doing it on fucking Tucker Carlson's show, for Christ's sakes. We can see what you're doing here. I mean, how much more clear do we have to make it that this is a movement rooted in bigotry and fascistic jingoism?
Yeah.
Do we have to show you the transphobic tweet in which Jackson Hinkle flatly denied the validity of trans men?
Right.
Or do we have to reference the fact that after being banned from Twitch, he now streams on Cozy.tv, the streaming platform of avowed white supremacist and anti-Semite Nick Fuentes, along with unhinged misogynist LaRoucheite Nazbol Two Holes Has?
Wait, I have a question.
Yeah.
How many holes
Oh, he actually plays this clip anyway. Listen, we've seen it already, but I mean, we can watch it again.
does a woman have from the waist down?
2.
Okay, so what are those
Some people will have missed this.
holes used for?
Poop and pee?
Where's the sex one, dude?
The pee one. Okay.
Oh my god!
And while we're on the cringe-inducing subject of has, I think it's hilarious that these guys crow about the evils of the World Economic Forum day in and day out, then go on to hang out on shows hosted by associates and advocates of, you guessed it, the World Economic Forum.
Interesting. That's weird, isn't it?
This is what American patriot socialism is really all about. It's reckless ideological nihilism, a complete lack of coherency in principles and worldview, and a
Chat, do you want to see the moment that has found out that vaginal ejaculation is actually mostly wee? It's actually mostly urine. Do you want to see that moment? I don't care if you want to see it or not. I'm going to show you anyway.
It's piss? No!
And again.
It's piss? No!
So good. Oh, fucking hell. It's the funniest fucking shit. I love it so much. It's so good. It's genuinely so good. That is the context. That's what that clip is. Yes, that is what that clip is.
seething disdain for truth. Sure,
it's like comic. It's like, yeah, the gasp. The gasp is the best bit because he's not even pretending. He's genuinely shocked.
A lot of hand waving about leftist values, a lot of surface level aesthetic stuff. They love to throw around words like imperialism, and they like to LARP as understanders of the working class and Marxism, but there's no legitimate Marxist philosophy to be found anywhere in their ideology whatsoever. Just this weird fever dream of Nazism and American jingoism filtered through a haze of pseudo-Marxist buzzwords and some hand-waving about how hate-filled petty bourgeois Trump supporters are the real working class and we should unite with MAGA to overthrow the Jews. I mean,
so bad.
Globalist elites. That's the ticket. I mean, keep in mind, the strategy they're advocating here is to unite with MAGA, to fuse the Marxist movement with the MAGA movement to form a Marxist MAGA megazord. Never mind the fact that these chuds don't even have anything in the way of a political party or organized movement at all. Just a bunch of followers on social media who've never accomplished much more than hate-filled raids on Twitch and mass harassment campaigns against minorities on Twitter.
That's right.
Never mind that they have accomplished literally nothing politically except scraping together about as many subscribers as an E-tier unboxing channel on YouTube. A core tenet of Marxist ideology is praxis. We prove our ideology through practice in the real world. Only through actually doing shit can we figure out if our ideas have merit or not. The American Patriot Socialists aren't doing anything. They are
like, that should tell you everything about MAGA communism, right? Is that they are against union organizing. And we all know it's actually facts. It's actually facts that union organizing actually achieves results. It does. You know? It does. Like, you can measure that. You can measure that in the fact that there is a weekend and that most people only have to work 40 hours a week in some countries, you know, not the US, unfortunately. You know,
literally all talk. They even go so far as to say that organizing is a waste of time. They are fully convinced that tweeting and talking about shit is how you build a revolution. In that sense, they are no different than the debate bros that they claim to hate. And it all runs completely counter to everything that Marx, Engels, Lenin...
Facts. Actual facts. Huge facts.
And all the other framers of Marxist philosophy who they claim
I would actually argue that these two subcultures of quote-unquote leftism or political ideology are exactly the same. It's leftism, but you're allowed to be fucking racist still. That's what it is. You know?
Claim to hold up have ever said on the subject.
Okay, let's say somehow these are the spokesmen of Marxism, and
Shock
we
jock
follow
culture, that's right.
these fearless leaders.
Good
down
night,
the primrose
Cynthia.
path
Thank you for
of
being here.
uniting with MAGA. What does that entail exactly? I mean, how do you unite two political movements?
Socialism for cis white men, that's right.
With expressly opposed political goals. I mean, MAGA is severely anti-communist. They hate communism. They don't want us around. They want to kill us and throw us out of helicopters.
Ironic that Bernie got more support from Trump-adjacent voters than these clowns. That's actually true. That's actually true. That's a thing that was, it was like a study that was done, wasn't it? I remember reading about that, Alejandro. Yeah, it was like people who were going to vote for Trump were like looking at Bernie and going, oh, actually, he's talking a lot of sense and he's doing a lot of stuff. You know? Yeah, fucking, yeah, absolutely true. Did you see the new alt-right playbook? I've not seen that. I've got so much content that I want to cover on the stream because I've been away for so long that I am going to get there eventually. But what I do want to do is I want to have, I want to do a stream where I actually watch all of the alt-right playbooks up until the new one. I think that would be a really fun stream because they're only about 10 minutes long, each of them. Some of them are 20 minutes, but the new one's 35 minutes. But I think that would be really good. Yeah, it will be relevant to this. Yeah, it absolutely will be relevant to this. Yeah, but we'll watch it another day, you know? With Trump supporters, it was mostly due to Bernie being a populist as opposed to Biden. I think that... I'm not sure how you're measuring that. I'm not sure where you're getting that from a source. Like, I don't know. You know, but there's actually, like, genuine research that's been done about that literally says it's because Bernie had really good economic policies. So I don't know where you're getting the populism thing from. And I don't know what is Biden not a populist? I don't understand. Yeah, that's why the Dems had to take him out. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. My super right-wing grandpa was a super big Bernie supporter. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Anyway, where the fuck was I? I was going to do something then. I was going to, like, click so it says so. I don't even know. Right, okay, whatever.
What does that even look like? How do you not unite a bunch of pro-capitalist, anti-communist American chauvinists who want the USA to rule the world with communists who want to build towards a stateless, classless society? I mean, it'd be one thing if they were focusing on converting MAGA fascists to Marxism. Like, okay, yeah. I have my doubts that it could really work or that it should be a huge priority for communists at this point in time. But okay, I at least see the logic in putting together like a campaign to teach Marxism to dejected working class white folks who supported Trump out of pure desperation and spite for the status quo. That could make sense if that's what they're talking about, but that's not what they're doing at all. They're saying they want to unite with MAGA, and they're doing it by adopting some of the worst characteristics of MAGA fascism, like American chauvinism, anti-Semitism.
That's what I thought. I feel like every mainstream politician is populist. Like, I don't understand. You know what I mean? I don't think they would have just sided with Bernie because he was populist, because otherwise then they would have sided with Biden because he is also a populist.
Transphobia, and they aren't, from what I can tell, doing anything to spread actual Marxism to MAGAs. I mean, Hinkle did not mention Marx or the working class struggle or capitalism even once when he went on Tucker Carlson's show. I guess if he's some kind of crypto Marxist, then he's doing a really good job at hiding it. I mean, on the contrary, they don't.
Yeah, these people are simply just fascists.
Of dialectical materialist principles of development, contradiction, class analysis, any of the basic philosophical elements of Marxism and leftism and communism. I mean, yeah, they really are hiding their power level if they are indeed Marxists at all. I mean, for
a political approach that strives to... Right, populism means a political approach that strives to appeal to ordinary people who feel that their concerns are being disregarded by established elite groups. Right, if we're looking at that, then that makes sense. Yes, absolutely. quality of appealing to or being aimed at ordinary people. Right, so it's like when so basically, so you're saying that Biden wasn't trying to appeal to ordinary people, but I feel like in a lot of his campaign he did. You know, I feel like he did. He is establishment, of course he is, but he did, you know, he was making promises about student loans, he was making promises about all sorts of stuff that he's just completely left now and stuff like that. I don't know. I would say that Sanders and Trump are more populist than Biden, but yeah, that's fair enough. He's populist in the way that Obama was, rhetoric-wise, he says all the populist things with zero follow-through. Right, okay, absolutely, yeah. Right, exactly. In that definition, most of all modern politics is populist. Like, you could say the Conservative Party are populist, but they have, like, exactly the same, you know, shit as the Democrats in the US. Anyway, whatever. Complete side rail, but yeah. At the end of the day, if you're going to appeal to the working class with populism, and you have actual, like, you know, leftist economic ideals backing that populism, then that is obviously a lot better than just populism based on lies, right? Which is what Trump and Biden both did. So, yeah, anyway.
For fuck's sake, Hinkle calls himself a Marxist-Leninist, but directly...
It's Trump's drain the swamp rhetoric. Yeah, right, okay. But, you know, Bernie didn't run on drain the swamp rhetoric. He ran on a completely different populist rhetoric, right? Good night, Shafiq. See you later. Thank you so much for being here.
And fundamentally contradicts Lenin on so many issues. I mean, in The Right of Nations to Self-Determination, Lenin made it clear that he distinguishes between nationalism for an oppressed nation and that of an oppressor nation. He roundly criticized the nationalism of the ruling class of Great Russia while advocating for the right of smaller oppressed nations to secede and to fight for self-determination, and made it clear that repudiation of the right to self-determination, i.e. the right of nations to secede, means nothing more than defense of the privileges of the dominant nation and police methods of administration to the detriment of democratic methods. He also wrote that the ruling class of Russia definitely reject both the equality of nationality...
You know what, chat? I think I am actually going to end the stream because it is late, and I did start the stream very late. So we'll put a pin in this video. I've already been streaming for about 4 hours anyway, so we've pretty much made the stream. But listen, stick with me while we go to another cheeky chatter, another cheeky streamer. So, thank you so much, everybody, for being here today. It's been really good. It's been really fun. I've really enjoyed it. And thank you, everybody who has donated, who has subbed, who has given bits. I don't think I've had any bits. Who has raided, anything like that. All that stuff, right? Really appreciate it. Really appreciate all the support. Thank you for just turning up and turning out. I would like to ask you for one more thing, and that would be stick around for the raid. You don't have to stay in the channel that we raid, but it is just nice to have a bunch of people jump into a channel to support them. And you will like who I raid, I promise you. You actually genuinely will. It was a nice stream, wasn't it? I'm glad that you thought it was nice to be here. Again, if you want more Muel, we've got the socials channel there. I'm on Twitter. I'm on YouTube. I've got a VOD channel there as well. I'm on Patreon. I've got an Instagram. Please, please, please support me on those channels as well. Every little helps. You know how it works. Diversify the content. Blah, 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 blah. But yeah, it is time for a raid. And we are going to go and raid someone who is a lovely, cheeky chicken. Well, would you look at that? Famous Horse is actually streaming right now, and I genuinely think that you're going to enjoy Famous Horse's stream, because Famous Horse is a lovely leftist political streamer like me, understands MAGA communism, debate bros suck, all that kind of stuff, and is just generally a really cool ADHD bro, and you will really enjoy your time there. So let's go raid Famous Horse. He's actually going to be talking about today Gay Cuba, Fascist Italy. That's the title of the stream, so that'll be fun to go and have a look at. Copy and paste the raid message in the chat. Boop. There we fucking go. And I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow at a similar time, around about 7 p.m. UK time. My sleeping pattern's all fucked up at the minute. I'm going to go to the gym in a bit because that's just the fucking life I'm living at the minute. And I will see you all then. So thank you so much again for everyone who supported me. I'll see you tomorrow. Mwah. Stay excellent to each other. Peace, 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 peace.